Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto merged with Madara in Fairy Tail. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Zuzwanakiyup2 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, New Beginning. The Last Light of the Will of Fire. Hey guys, this is a new project of mine in which I will include two of my favorite animes, Naruto and Fairy Tail. I want to make clear that this story starts 4 years before the Fairy Tail canon, so expect some time skips in the future. Now let's start with the story, but first I want to make clear that I don't own Naruto or the Fairy Tail series. Naruto was standing in front of a large statue that looked like the head of a monster trapped inside of a giant tree, which one instead of roots had something that looked like giant hand coming out of the ground. It had 9 eyes on the face, and each one of them was glowing with a different color except the one that was in the middle. He was panting heavily thanks to all the fighting he had gone through in the last 6 hours. But he didn't care about it anymore, because in front of him the only way to finally end the war that had been going on for 2 years was lying on the ground a few meters away from him, grimacing in pain with a hand on his badly hurtled chest. And yet he was laughing evilly, which only caused more anger in the blonde teen. What the hell is going on with you, Madara? You are laughing even when all your plans have been destroyed, or is it that you finally lost it after realizing that you are about to die? The blonde teen said with anger in his voice as he watched how Madara started to laugh even louder. Oh, so you think that all my plans are finished? You couldn't be more wrong. As I see things, I am about to succeed. I just need to beat you down and take that fucking fox out of your body, and then I will be able to control the Jubi and use to destroy all my enemies and finally take revenge on those who stood against me in the past, Madara said with a cold tone of voice as he started to stand up from the ground with a lot of difficulty. How do you plan to do that in your current condition? You can barely stand. As I see things, I just need to give you a finish blow to kill you and finally end this fucking war. Accepted, you are finished, Naruto stated with anger in his voice as he prepared himself to launch one final attack against Madara. And that is exactly why I'm laughing. Don't you think that is pretty amusing that the boy that nearly killed me a moment ago with an incredible elemental jutsu, it's the same stupid boy that only talked about fighting against the hatred of people and that tried to attack me when I meet him in the land of snow 2 years ago. Well, I guess it's true that the war can change anyone, even the dumbest ones, don't you think, Naruto? Madara said with a teasing tone of voice as he prepared himself to fight again, even when he was pretty injured at the moment. But even when Madara only wanted to piss off Naruto, he was right. The boy standing in front of him ready to kill him was not the same Naruto that he used to be before the war. But actually nothing was the same at all. His friends, the landscapes, and in general all the people formed the elemental nations had changed drastically as a consequence of the Fourth Ninja War that has been going on for 2 years without rest. Naruto was 17 years old now and had changed a lot in many ways as a consequence of the war. Nowadays he didn't smile often, he wasn't childish anymore, his eyes had lost the warm light they used to have, leaving only a cold, emotionless stare. He didn't use his usual orange/black colored clothes anymore, he just wore a black colored ANBU suit with a black cape similar to the one his father used in the past, with a red colored inscription in the back that said Will of Fire. It also was a fact that he had become incredibly stronger and intelligent in the arts of war, but now he was always afraid of himself because he felt like he was losing all the mercy and respect towards human life that he had once. But who was to blame him when nearly everybody he knew had changed in the same way as a consequence of all the things they have faced in the past 2 years? Actually, it was a miracle that he had kept his mental stability after all the things he had experienced recently. Things like having to kill Sasuke with his own hands, or watch how her best friend Sakura was blown into pieces along with an entire squadron of Leaf Village ninjas. One could say that he had changed when he met the worst side of humanity with his own eyes. Shut the hell up, Madara, and let's end this once and for all. I have had enough of this war already, and with you dying everything will end too, Naruto stated with a cold tone of voice as he activated the golden-colored cloak of chakra with the shape of a fox that he had acquired when he finally learned to control the QBS chakra and started to form his strongest jutsu on his left hand, the Tetra-Elemental Big Bang Rasengan, which consisted in a mixture of the 4 elements inside of the whirlpool of chakra of a giant Rasengan. How so be it, kid, if you want to end this here I will also fight at my fullest, but hear me out, this time you won't be able to reach me with that jutsu, and even you do reach me, I will still win this, Madara stated with anger in his voices as he activated his Mangekyo Sharingan, surrounding himself with the armor of Susanoo. Susanoo again, didn't you learn last time that thing cannot stand against the strength of this attack? Now Madara die, Naruto yelled at Madara as he dashed forward to strike him down. On the contrary, I did learn, and that is why I'll burn you to a crisp before you reach me, Amaterasu, Madara shouted as shot a wave of black fire toward the blonde teen, who didn't manage to dodge the attack completely, but even when his left arm was on fire he didn't stop, and instead of that he used the Flying Thunder God Jutsu to move himself at an incredible speed, and when he was behind Madara he struck him with the sphere he had on his right hand as he yelled Big Bang Rasengan. In the moment the attack made contact with Madara, Susanoo started to shatter by the strength of the jutsu. The only thing that could be heard was Madara screaming in pain, this is impossible, how did this happen? And after that a giant explosion caused by the raging elements inside the sphere occurred. The blast was so strong that it sent Naruto flying against the wall, and it also damaged the giant statue that served as container for the tailed beasts. When the explosion ended, Naruto stood up and sealed away the dark flames that were burning his left arm with the scroll. It was only thanks to the chakra coat of the Jinchuriki mode that he didn't lost his arm, but he did receive some serious burns that he would get treated later, because right now he had to check if Madara was really dead. He knew that the strength of his finishing move was enough to destroy an entire army, but he was treating with a very tricky guy, so he didn't want to take any risks. As he was searching for any evidence of Madara's survival, he decided to dispel the QB mode, and after some minutes of searching the room and not finding anything, he decided that Madara was done for, so he started to head towards the exit of the room. I can't believe how close I was to fulfill my revenge, and yet again someone has stopped me, and to make it worse, it was the son of the man that stopped me the first time, but I had enough. If I'm going to die, I will take everyone with me, Madara thought to himself, as he started to crawl towards the head of the statue of dead with the only arm he had left after all the Big Bang Rasengan had destroyed more than a half of his body. It was only in the last moments that he managed to teleport what was left of him to the top of the tailed beast container statue. Well, let's give the boy one surprise he won't like, Madara thought when he was on the very top of the statue watching Naruto going towards the entrance of the room. It seems he thinks I'm dead. How great this is going to be, he thought as he put his hand on a hidden seal that was painted on the top of the head of the statue. That was when he finally talked. Hey Naruto, I accept that you win this time and that you have shattered all my plans, but you won't stop my revenge, cause you know I think I can still make a pretty good bomb with what I have stored here. Just imagine what a bomb made with the chakra of 8 of the 9 beasts can do. It wouldn't surprise me if it killed all your friends outside the tower. Actually, I think that an explosion of that magnitude could even shatter the bonds of reality, and that would be more than enough for me, Madara said in a crazy tone of voice as he stared directly at the blonde teen. When Naruto heard Madara's voice, he turned to look at the giant statue, and that was when he made to see where he was and the state in which he was. It was impressive that he was still alive, because what Naruto saw at the top of the statue was just a head and an arm that were barely attached to a piece of his chest. But when the blonde boy heard what Madara was planning to do, he started to run towards the place where he was as panic started to fill his mind. No, you wouldn't do that. An explosion like that would destroy everything, including you or your comrades. I'm not going to let you do that, Naruto shouted with anger in his voice as he pumped chakra to his legs and then jumped towards the spot where Madara was with a shuriken Rasengan forming in his hand. He didn't care if the jutsu was damaging his right arm, because his objective was to stop Madara with on hit before he could detonate the Tally Beast chakra. Unfortunately, when he was about to reach him, it was already too late. Good try to stop me, kid, but we're too slow. See you in hell anyway, K. And after those words from Madara, the statue started to shine with an intense red color. When Naruto realized what just happened, he felt as he was being sucked by the incredible amount of energy that was gathering at the center of the statue. Suddenly he felt as if 1,000 blades had gone through him, and before he lose consciousness, the last thing he could hear was the sound of a terrible explosion, and the cries and screams for help. Outside the building, all the ninjas from the Alliance that were fighting against the last stand of Madara's forces just heard the sound of a terrible explosion, but before they could realize what just happened, they were dead already. On that day, every living thing was erased from existence in the elemental nations, but the history of Naruto Uzumaki didn't come to an end just to a new begging. 303I. Naruto felt like he was flying, floating into nothingness, but he knew he wasn't dead because he also felt terrible pain all over his body, so he started to wonder he was in hell or something, until he heard a voice beside him, and it was a voice that in the past he swore to never forget, the voice of his mother, but for some reason he couldn't open his eyes to look at her, and he couldn't talk too. My little boy, don't worry, you are not dead. It isn't your time. There is still plenty of time for you in the place where you are going, but it pains me to know that you will be alone again and that you will suffer a lot for some time, and that is why I came to say goodbye to you and to tell you that you should never give up, especially now that you will be alone again, Kushina's voice said with caring tone of voice. Naruto couldn't help to wonder why his mother was telling him all of this, and why she was telling him that he was going to be alone again, because if he was alive, probably more people survived to the blast, but his hopes were shattered when another voice spoke to him. This time it was his father. You fought bravely, Naruto, but I am afraid that this time destiny played us a bad card. But don't worry, all your friends are in peace now, and they don't hate you. Actually, every one of them is proud of you for fighting until the end, and they also want you to keep living no matter what, and I also want that, Naruto. You deserve to be happy, and I have faith that you will recover from this sooner or later, because you are my son, and also because you carry the last shining light of the will of fire, Minato said with a voice full of pride and love to his son, and then he and Kushina spoke together. Never give up no matter what, Naruto. Go and live your life to the fullest and try to find happiness in this new place. After Naruto heard that, he felt like he was swallowed by something, and then he lost his conscience once again. Somewhere at Earthland X780. As Naruto started to regain consciousness, he also felt a terrible pain on his arms, which forced him to open his eyes, but the light of the sun didn't let him see clearly. It was until his eyes got accustomed to the light that he realized that he was lying on the ground in the middle of what seemed to be a devastated town. He couldn't help to wonder what the hell had happened to him. It was until he looked at his arms that the memories started to flow in his mind. He remembered fighting Madara. He remembered how he beat him. And then he remembered what happened next, how that fucking bastard in a suicidal intent tried to blow the container of the tailed beast chakra, and then everything went to hell. Damn it was my entire fault. If I wasn't so weak, everybody would be alive, Naruto said with a lot of pain in his voice as tears started to fall from his eyes. I should be the one dead, not all my friends. I don't deserve to be alive, damn it. Why the hell did you save me, Kami, just to laugh at my face again like you have been doing it during all my life? Naruto yelled at the sky with pain in his voice, and then he started hitting the ground with his fists, even when his arms were so badly hurt. After all, he didn't care about physical pain anymore because nothing could be compared to the pain he was feeling after losing everything that he knew. Suddenly he felt a voice telling him something in his mind. Hey kid, stop crying like a little baby and try to find a way to heal those arms of yours if you don't want to lose them, the Kyuubi said with an annoyed tone of voice. Shut up, Fox, don't you realize that we have lost everything just a moment ago? Oh come, when some people dies and you start crying like a little girl, get over it already, kid. After all, didn't you hear what that bastard of your father and the bitch of your mother said to us, that they were happy for your survival, and that sadly every one of them were at peace now? Shut the hell up already, don't you realize that it pains to know that a lot of people died because of my weakness? Well then get up and let go and kill something so you can get stronger. For God's sake, I have lost everything that I knew, but no, they couldn't take you away when you are the only thing that I really hate. Oh yeah, poor you, God hates you. Now get over this pain fast and let's try to find something about this fucking new world, cause I hope that you already know that we are no longer in the elemental nations. What, we are no longer in the elemental nation? For God's sake, how dumb can you be, stupid kid? That was quite obvious in the moment that we crossed off the dimensional rift that was caused by the crash between your Shuriken Rasengan and the chakra explosion. So it was that dimensional rift thing what truly saved me from dying in that explosion. Yeah, it was your luck once again, so stop crying like a Naruto, get ready, you can't be wasting time around here. Apparently in this world there are demons like me, and one of them is coming this way. I am quite sure you can beat him, but not in that lamentable state of yours, so use some of my chakra to heal some of your wound and fast, the Kyuubi shouted his orders to Naruto with anger and uneasiness in his voice. With that, Naruto got back to reality and started to pull out some of the chakra of the demon fox to heal his wound, and he also started gathering natural energy to go in Sannin mode if it was needed as he waited for the demon to arrive at his position. Excellent, fighting a demon will surely help me clear up my mind, and in the worst of the cases I will die destroying a pest from this world, Naruto thought to himself, and then a dark smile appeared on his face. Half an hour later, Naruto's wound on his right arm were nearly healed completely, but the one caused by the fire of the Amaterasu was barely healed, and it pained him a lot. Apparently the damage caused by that demonic fire was nearly irreparable. Naruto was trying to take out more of the Kyuubi chakra to heal that wound when he felt an incredibly evil presence standing some meters behind him, and then he heard an evil chuckle. It seems that I didn't kill everyone yesterday when I attacked this horrible village, and even when you survived you were fool enough to stay here instead of running away from me. Seriously, how foolish can humans be, the demon said with an annoyed yet evil tone of voice as he started to walk towards Naruto. Don't you think that is more foolish to believe that I'm a survivor of this village, you stupid demon? Naruto stated with a calm tone of voice and without moving from his position. What was that? Did I hear you calling me a stupid demon, you human trash? You must really want to die, don't you realize who am I? The demon said with anger in his voice as he started to gather some kind of power that was similar to chakra to Naruto's eyes, but at the same time it was different, like more spiritual and less physical. I don't have any idea of who you are, but I can guess. I bet that you are a stupid demon who hates humanity and want to rip their souls out, and who thinks that no one can beat him, Naruto said with an annoyed tone of voice but still without moving from the floor. And you dare to call me stupid again? Foolish human, I'm going to kill you now. Tremble, because you are facing Chernabog, the Riper of Souls and one of the demons of the Book of Zerif, the demon said as he raised on of his gigantic fist, and then he sent a punch against the blonde kid that was sitting motionless in the ground in front of him. He clearly saw how the body of the blonde kid was crushed under his fist, so he started to lock evilly. That was indeed a good punch, but now it's my turn, Naruto said as he appeared in Sage mode in front of the gigantic demon face, and then he punched the demon with all his might, and as a consequence of this the demon fell crashing to the ground holding a hand on his damaged face. What are you, that strength of yours? Clearly it's not human, the demon said as he stood up from the ground. The name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm the one who is going to kill you for certain, Naruto said with a smirk on his face. Don't get cocky, kid, now I know that I have to get serious with you, and that means a lot of pain to you, the demon said as he raised one of his hands and started to gather dark energy in it until he shouted, darkness devours, and with that a giant ball of dark energy was shoot towards Naruto. Very well, let's see who is the strongest, and with that said the blonde called upon the Kyuubi chakra, and then he formed a ball similar to the one the demon was gathering, but this one was composed of the black chakra of the Kyuubi, and then he shouted Kyuubi bomb, and with that he sent flying the small ball of energy against the giant one. When they crashed, they exploded together, and the explosion sent flying Naruto and the demon in different direction. Meanwhile, on a road that was about 3 kilometers away from the place where Naruto and the demon were fighting, a tall and muscular man with shoulder-length reddish-orange hair wearing a black cape was walking along the road that headed towards the place where Naruto was fighting the demon man. I can't believe that the old man asked me to take this job just because he had a bad feeling about it, even when he knows that I'm preparing myself to go on that 100 years mission. I mean, where's the danger in going to a small mountain village and retrieve this chalice of Dark Lord thing from the village chief, the man thought to himself as he sighed, but suddenly the sound of an enormous explosion was heard, and he could see a dark/purple glow in the direction he was headed. Well, I guess that is the danger I was asking for, damn me and my big mouth, and with that the tall man started to run in the direction he saw the purple glow. Back to the site of the fight. As Naruto started to regain consciousness, he noticed that a piece of wood had pierced him through the abdomen, and he was bleeding badly. Apparently the explosion sent him crashing against one of the ruined houses, and then this happened. He suddenly started to hear the voice of the QB. Damn, my kid, don't even think on fighting that demon. Straightforward once again if you don't want to die. I mean, probably the explosion caused him some damage too, but he has the benefits of his size. Yeah, I know that already, stupid fox. I will try to use my velocity against his size this time. By the way, can you try to heal the hole in my abdomen? Damn it, with you always asking for favors, can't you do something by yourself? But it's okay, because if you die, I die too. Take that piece of junk out of your body and I will try to heal the wound. Okay, then I'm going now to finish this. Hey punk, one more thing, you can't kill a demon, so if you want to win this fight you will need to seal it in one of those scrolls you are always carrying, but to do it you will have to weaken him first. Roger, beat the crap out of him, and then seal him. Hey, who would have thought you can be this helpful when you act nicely? With that said, Naruto got back to reality, and then he rose from the ground as he removed the piece of wood from his abdomen, which caused him even more bleeding for a moment. Okay, let's try it another time, you fucking demon, Naruto said with anger in his voices as he got back outside, but to his surprise the demon was badly hurt too, and lying in the ground. It seemed that the explosion sent him flying against a wall of rock that was in the opposite side of the village in ruins, which caused some rocks to fall and came crashing down on him. You really surprised me, human, with that attack. How the hell are you able to gather such amount of demonic energy in that short lapse of time? But it's enough with my next attack. I will finish you, Chernabog said as he rose from the ground and put a hand in front of him once again, and then recited some words as fire burns flesh and metal cuts lives. Darkness will scar and burn the soul of my enemies and then bring the final torment upon them. In that moment is when they will know absolute darkness. As he finished chanting, an enormous black rune appeared behind him, and suddenly thousands of blasts were coming out of it, dashing towards Naruto. Wow, that is indeed some big attack. Sadly it won't even touch me. As he shouted that, he threw a kunai similar to the ones his father used in the past, but with an explosive seal hanging from it, and after making some hand seals he said kunai shadow clone technique, and after he said that instead of just one kunai flying towards the demons there were thousands of them. But Naruto wasn't done yet. He made another series of hand seals, and then he said flying thunder god jutsu, and after that Naruto disappeared to the demons. Surprised, the only thing he could see was a yellow ray of light moving on different directions, dodging all of his blasts of shadow energy. When the kunais started to pierce the demon in different places, he could help to laugh. After all, he didn't even felt a little stung for each one of them. Seriously, do you plan to hurt me with this, stupid human? This doesn't even hurt, the demon said with a mocking tone of voice, but then suddenly Naruto materialized in front of him, chuckling. Well, my friend, that is because I haven't finished yet, but just because you are so desperate to feel pain, take this K. Naruto said as he made a single hand seal, and after that all the kunais attached to the body of the demon started to explode, hurting him badly. The only thing that he could hear were the screams of pain from the demon, but he wasn't done, for not yet. It wasn't enough yet to seal the beast. He had to hit him with something hard like the Shuriken Rasengan. But it was dangerous since the Sage mode has wear off in the moment he lost consciousness when he was hit by the explosion of the dark powers. What the hell, I have been trough worse. Besides, I don't really care if I die here. And as Naruto said that to himself, he made a handful and 4 shadow clones appeared, and together they started to mold wind chakra on his hand, and when the shuriken-shaped Rasengan was formed by his hands, the 4 clones threw him towards the demon. The demon was still being affected by the exploding seals. He couldn't believe that a mere human had caused him so much damage. That's when realization hit him, and he spoke. What kind of mage are you, kid? I'm supposed to be invulnerable to any kind of elemental magic, and still this fire is affecting me greatly. And after saying that, the demon realized that Naruto was dashing towards him with something in his right hand that he could describe as the strongest form of wind magic he had ever seen in all his long life, but it was still a little bit different to normal magic. But because of the pain he was feeling, the only thing he could manage to do was try to block the attack with his giant arms. You want to know what am I? Well, I'm no mage, I am the last remaining light of the will of fire. Now take this Futten Rasen Shuriken, Naruto shouted as he struck the demon, and in the moment the sphere made contact with the skin of the demon, it expanded in a big explosion of wind chakra. The demon could feel how his arms were shredded to pieces, and then he felt as if 1,000 blades were going through his whole body. But before the demon lose his conscience, he laughed evilly and said, "You are indeed a strong opponent, but sadly for you I am an immortal being and I will recover. Even you left me in this condition, but in your case you won't recover and probably die. Welcome to my trap, Naruto Uzumaki." And after saying that he chanted absolute darkness liberation, and after that the demon was sent flying by the force of the Shuriken Rasengan. Naruto was still flying in the air, and the arm in which he had been holding the Shuriken Rasengan pained him like hell, but he realized what the demon meant when he said he has fallen in his trap. The giant dark rune hadn't disappeared, and in the middle of it a giant ball of energy was gathering. Suddenly an enormous ray of dark energy was shoot from the ball towards the blonde kid, and as he saw it approaching he just closed his eyes. So this is how my story will end, huh? Not bad at all, but still I will die alone, he tough. But suddenly he heard the voices of all his friends in his head telling him something. Naruto, don't give up, you can get out of this situation, you deserve to live and be happy for all of us. All the voices of his deceased friends said at the same time, and this made Naruto react. He took a kunai from his leg pouch, charged it with wind chakra, and he threw it on the direction the demon was sent flying, and finally he made some hand seal in the moment the giant ray crashed with him somewhere near the site of the battle. The same tall muscular man with orange hair from before was about to reach the site of the battle, but then something left him completely shocked when he was about to reach the entrance of the village where he was supposed to recover the chalice of Dark Lords. He felt two incredible sources of power, one that seemed to be evil and very strong on dark and demonic magic, and another one that was strong but completely different to any kind of magic he had felt before. Then when he was getting ready to enter in what he supposed was a big fight, he saw a gigantic human-like thing flying through the air and crashing in the ground just a few meters away from where he was standing. He was even more shocked when he recognized that the thing was a demon, pretty beat up and injured, and it was not a simple demon. He remembered him from some history books as the 9th demonic creation from Chernabog, Lord of Fallen Souls, and the one believed to be invulnerable to elemental magic. As he started to approach to the fallen corpse of the demon, he felt that strong yet rare source of power coming at a great speed from behind him. Suddenly he saw something that looked like a knife coming at a great speed, engulfed in what he believed was wind magic, so he had to jump to one side in order to dodge it. When he got back to his feet, he realized that there is a big gash in the ground where the knife collided, and when he started to move towards it, he managed to see a yellow ray of light passing just in front of him at an incredible speed. He thought it was an attack against him, so he tried to stop it using his magical shattering powers, but he was surprised to see that his attack was deflected as if it was nothing by the ray of yellow light, and then he heard a voice saying, "Gee, get out of the way, old man, I have to finish that fucking demon before he recovers," the voice said as the yellow ray of light crashed in the same place that the knife crashed, revealing the form of a young blonde kid that was completely covered by several kind of injuries, burns, cuts, a hole in his abdomen, and a lot of bruises. The young kid was covered by some kind of energy that was shaped like the form of a fox with 6 tails. He also was holding something that looked like some kind of scroll. "I am sorry, Chernabog, it will take more than that little trap of yours to take me down. Now it will be you, the one who will disappear," Naruto said as he started to make a series of hand seal, and then he raised his left hand. Suddenly flames of different colors appeared on his fingers as he shouted, "Sealing technique, seal of the 4 elements," and after that he crashed his hand on the scroll he was holding, and after that some things that looked like green glowing tentacles started to get out from the scroll and started to cover up the body of the demon, and after a few moments they started to glow brightly, and after a few minutes they disappeared along with the body of the demon. The old man was shocked by what the blonde kid just did. Apparently he was capable of sealing the demon inside of that scroll with some kind of strange energy, something that, until now, he thought was impossible to do by any regular mage. He stood there watching how the blonde kid folded the scroll and turned to look at him as he said with a tired voice, "Hey old man, I can sense you have a great power. I believe that I can trust you to watch over this thing in my place. Keep it safe with your life because that demon is trapped inside and we don't want him breaking free from the seal. Am I right?" the blonde kid said as he started to walk towards the old man. As the blonde kid was getting closer to him, the old man was able to see how bad the condition of the kid was. He was bleeding from nearly every part of his body. He had a hole that was bleeding a little on his abdomen. One of his arms was covered in blood and the other one seemed to be burned quite badly. "Hey kid, I will take care of that scroll, but I will also take care of you as I see things. It's a miracle that you are standing my hometown. It's not too far from here. Come on, I can take you there," the old man said as he approached to Naruto, offering to carry him. "By the way, do you have a name?" the old man asked as he grabbed the scroll from Naruto's hands. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and don't worry about me. You can leave me here. After all, I wasn't planning to get out alive from this fight. You see, I don't have anything left to keep living for," Naruto said as he stared directly at the old man's eyes, and in that moment the old man managed to see only pain, sadness, and the feeling of emptiness inside of the blonde kid eyes. He couldn't avoid to think that a boy of that age shouldn't have a look like that in his eyes. "Well, Naruto, my name's is Gildarts, and as a mage of fairy tale I cannot leave a kid so badly injured behind," and just walked away. "So no matter what you tell me, I'm taking you back to Magnolia to get you treated," the man named Gildarts said as he put a hand on Naruto's shoulder, but then he realized that the blonde kid was falling to the ground unconscious. So he picked him from the ground and started running on the opposite direction he came from. "Damn kid, just hang on a little longer. I will certainly save you," Gildarts tough as he started to run faster, not even caring that his break magic was shattering everything that was in front of him. Half an hour later at the Fairy Tale Guild. It was a rainy day in Magnolia, so everybody was sitting inside of the guild building chatting, eating or drinking something. It has been a peaceful week for the guild, so everyone was just enjoying the time with their friends, everyone except the guild master Makarov, who was worried about Gildarts. Even when he was the strongest mage in Fairy Tale, the mission in which he had sent him could prove to be quite dangerous if his suspicions about this chalice of the Dark Lords that was found on a cave near a small town in the mountains were right. But if he was right, that would mean the liberation of one of the 10 strongest demons of Chernabog, the one described on the Book of Zerif as the one that rips and burns souls, and that can't be hurt by elemental magic, who was sealed inside of a cup named Chalice of Dark Souls, a relic that was kept by the Magic Council until it was stolen by someone 3 years ago. I really hope I'm wrong with my suspicion, cause sailing a thing like that once again would be one hell of a job, Makarov thought to himself as he turned to look through the window in his office, but suddenly a knock on the door of his office was heard. "Come in please," Makarov said as he turned to look at the door with a fake smile in his face. "Master, are you alright? You have been closed up in your office since Gildarts left in the morning. Is something wrong?" A red-haired girl wearing armor that looked like about 15 years old asked as she entered the office, looking concerned for the old man. Yeah, Erza, I'm a little worried about the job I gave to Gildarts. Something just seemed to be off place. First we got the request asking us to retrieve this chalice of Dark Lords from a little community of mountain miners, then we received news that this same town was attacked yesterday at midnight by a giant monster. It's too suspicious, the old man said, with a thoughtful look in his face. But still, Master, I don't see any reason to be worried about it. After all, Gildarts is the strongest man in the guild, so I think he can pull through any problem that may appear. On his job, Erza said with a firm tone of voice as she put a hand on the older man's shoulder, to reassure him. Maybe you are right, but if my suspicion are right, and this chalice turn out to be the one named Chalice of Dark Soul and not Dark Lords, that would imply that the giant monster that attacked the village is none other than Chernabog, one of the 10 strongest demons of Zerif. Makarov said with fear in his voice as he put his hand over the one of Erza. You mean the one also known as the Eater of Elements because of his invulnerability to them? But Master, if you suspected that, you shouldn't have sent Gildarts to do the job. Even when he is physically stronger than any of us, his shatter and break magics are derived from Earth Element. And that would leave him, Erza was saying with a lot of concern in his voice, but was cut short by Makarov, who put a hand in front of her as a signal to be silent. That would leave him defenseless, I know, but what else was I supposed to do? He is the only one other than me that knows how to reseal a demon, and besides he has more experience in these things than anyone from the guild, Makarov said with an annoyed yet worried tone of voice as he looked at Erza with a pained look in his eyes. At least you could have sent Mira and I to help him a little. After all, our magic is not related with elemental nature. I quite sure we could have been useful, at least, the redhead was saying with a bossy tone of voice this time, but was interrupted once again by the angry look that Makarov was giving her. No, Erza, you and Mira Jane are too young to even think of facing a demon on your own. You see, when you fight one of them, things are not the same because you have to fight not only him, but also his demonic influence. And if you fail to do that, you will be overcome by fear, and as a consequence your magic will be useless. I'm quite sure you know the feeling already. Just remember what you felt when you came closer to your friend Jalal in the past when he was corrupted. And as the old man said that, Erza was able to remember clearly the feeling of despair and sickness she felt when she met the demonic influenced Jalal, and because of that a sad frown appeared in her face. You are right, it is indeed a horrible feeling, and I also understand why you sent Gildarts alone, but you didn't have to bring out that specific topic, Erza said with a melancholic tone of voice as she turned to leave the office. I'm sorry, but I had to make sure you understand the reason of my decision. I sent Gildarts alone because I wanted to avoid risking any of my children to unnecessary danger, and he wanted that too. That's why he accepted the job without hesitation. I'm just protecting my family, the guild master said with a sad smile in his face as he patted Erza on the back. I know, boss, but Gildarts is also part of our family, so we cannot avoid feeling bad and worried for letting the older ones do the dangerous jobs just to protect us, Erza said, with a caring voice as she started to leave the room, but the old man stopped her. Erza, I want you to keep this as a secret for the other members. You know how they are. I don't want to see Natsu going after Gildarts because he wants to help him, the old man said with a pleading tone of voice. Don't worry, master, for the moment I won't say a thing, but you have to promise me that the next time that a problem like this one appears you will take us in account, the reed had said as she left the room with a smile on her face. Okay, I will go out in a minute too. I've been locked up for too long in here, and I need something to eat, the old man said with a smile on his face, but his mood changed instantly. In the moment some bells started to ring in the distance because that was the signal that indicated that Gildarts was coming back to Magnolia. Meanwhile, in the first floor of the guild a big brawl was going on, and it was caused by a pink-haired kid that looked like about 13 years old who tried to start a fight with a black-haired kid that looked about a year older than him, but in the end all the guild was dragged into the fight, so it was a total chaos, so no one managed to hear the bells ringing in the distance. It was until the sounds of crashes and explosions started to come closer to the guild that everyone except the pink-haired boy and the black-haired boy stopped fighting. It was until the doors of the entrance to guild exploded that the two boys stopped fighting and turned to look at the panting tall man with orange hair that seemed to be carrying something in his arms that was standing at the entrance of the building. Hey Gildarts, welcome back. Now that your mission is over you can fight against me, remember you promised me, the young boy with pink spiky hair said with a smile on his face. Gildarts turned to look at the boy with a severe look in his eyes before saying, not now, Natsu. Where is the old man? We have to treat this kid before it's too late, Gildarts said, with a voice full of worry and fatigue. It was at that moment that Natsu and Gray realized what was the thing that the older man was carrying. It was the body of a blonde boy that seemed to be pretty injured because there was blood all over his body. They couldn't avoid to fall in panic because of what they saw, so they just stood there paralyzed. He is on the second floor. I will go and call him. Meanwhile, bring that boy over here. Seriously, Gildarts, what did you do this time? A white-haired girl that looked like about 15 years said as she started to go toward the second floor, but then she turned to look at another girl with white hair that seemed to be younger than her and said, Lisanna, try to start healing the boy. He is in a very bad state. If we don't do something now he may die. And with that said the girl left the room. As he was told, Gildarts took Naruto's unconscious body and put it on a table that was next to the young white-haired girl quickly. Didn't all of you hear what Mira said? Don't just stand there looking at the scene. Go fast and bring some water, blankets and bandages. We have an injured boy here, Gildarts said towards all the guild members that were just staring at the scene, and suddenly everyone was on the move looking for the things they were asked for. And then he turned to look at Lisanna, who had a shocked look in her face. After all, she had never witnessed someone as hurt as the boy in front of her. I'm sorry, little one, for putting you in this situation. Just try to do your best for the poor boy, Gildarts said with a concerned look in his eyes. Can you remove the upper part of his clothes so I can attend the wounds? the little girl asked with a slight blush in her face. When Gildarts removed what was left of Naruto's clothing since it was all shredded because of the fight, Lisanna started to heal the smaller cuts and burns that Naruto had all over his body, and when she was done with that she centered her attention on the hole he had on his abdomen. Seriously Gildarts, you should be more careful with your magic. I mean, to get a kid so badly injured you must have very distracted. By the way, here, take the bandages and the water that you asked us for. A slim man with slicked back dark hair said as he headed a bucket filled with clean water and some clean bandages to Gildarts. Gildarts put the bucket with water at the side of Lisanna and then he put the bandages next to Naruto before responding, I didn't do this, Makao. The kid was already in that state when I arrived to that miner's village where I was supposed to recover a relic for my job, Gildarts said with an annoyed tone of voice, trying to avoid the chat about the topic, since Makarov had asked him to keep this mission as a secret between them. What relic? I thought you went to take rest at your place this morning, Makao said, sounding very confused, but before he could ask any further the voice of the guild master was heard. Enough of this chat, we have a kid on the verge of death in our hands. We will talk about this topic until we are sure he will survive the night, the old man said with a concerned tone as he walked towards them with Erza and Mira Jane at his sides. Then he looked directly at Makao. We already talked with the other guild members and told them to go home. With us will be more than necessary to treat the boy, so Makao, I want you to take Natsu and Gray to the dormitories. Those two seemed to be quite shocked by what they saw today. Okay, I'll do that, boss, but what about Lisanna? She shouldn't be here if he knows what happens to the kid, Makao whispered to Makarov so Lisanna couldn't hear. Don't worry, I'll take her home as soon as Mirani takes her place. After all, she is my little sister. A very muscular kid with white spiky hair said as he touched Makao's shoulder. Oh, Elfman, I didn't saw you there. Well then, in that case I'm going. I really hope that the kid get better. He is too young to be on a situation like this one. And after Makao said that, he gave a one last look to the unconscious blonde before he went to pick Natsu and Gray that seemed to be about to cry, and with the both of them he left the guild building. Hey sis, how's he doing? Do you need a replacement already, or you can keep up with the healing job? Mirajane asked to her little sister as she stood at her side looking at the injured boy. At this point the little girl was panting by exhaustion. She had nearly used all her magic by trying to heal the hole in the blonde kid abdomen. Mirani, I've been trying so hard to close this ugly hole in his abdomen, but there's some strange kind of energy on the wound that don't allow me to finish the healing, and he has too much fever. If this keeps going on then he will die just like Mom did, Lisanna said as she started to sob and then cry. Don't worry, he will get better, I promise you. Now go home with Elfnikin and get some rest. I'll take your place. Okay, you did a great job, Mirajane said with a motherly look in her eyes as she caressed her little sister head. Man, why does she care so much for someone she doesn't even know? She toughed to herself as she gave another look to the injured boy. I really hope that at least you know how to say thank you, punk, she tough. After Lisanna and Elfman left the guild and Mirajane resumed her little sister healing job, Makarov turned his attention to Gildarts and asked, I bet you have a good explanation for all of this, don't you? Makarov asked with a severe look in the eyes as he stared directly at Gildarts. Gildarts, assuming that all the present ones were aware of the mission in whom he went, started to explain what happened. Look, old man, first, if you believe I caused those wounds to that kid, you are completely wrong. When I found him, he was already in that condition. Second, you were right. The so-called Chalice of the Dark Lords was in reality the Chalice of the Dark Souls, and you were also right on your assumption that the one who attacked the miner's village was Chernabog, the ninth creation of Zerif. Gildarts said with a serious tone of voice as he walked over to where Naruto was. Oh, I see, then this kid is one of the survivors of the village, and when you beat Chernabog you found him and brought him here to get him treated right. This time the one who spoke was Erza as she put a wet towel on Naruto's forehead as a measure to reduce the fever he had. No, you are completely wrong. I'm not even the one who stopped the demon, Gildarts said with a little embarrassment in his voice as he accepted that he didn't do anything in this job. Well then, in that case, who stopped the demon? It had to be someone with a wide knowledge in sealing techniques. Perhaps you received help from someone from the Magic Council, Makarov said with a lot of interest in his voice as he stared directly at Gildarts. Oh, come, the council, they wouldn't give a shit for a little village in the mountains. The one that stopped and sealed the demon was Naruto, Gildarts said with an exasperated tone of voice as he turned to look at all his partners. Naruto? Everyone in the room asked with a look of confusion on their faces. Gildarts was surprised by how dumb his friend could be when they weren't able to connect all the leads he has been giving them, so he decided to explain. Naruto, it's the name of the boy that I brought with me today, the same boy that you are healing, Mira. He was the one who beat and then sealed the demon. And after Gildarts said that, all the presents went wide-eyed by the impression, and then all of them turned to look at the unconscious boy as if waiting for something miraculous to happen. So that means he is an incredibly strong mage, but that impossible. I can't feel any magic at all inside of him, Mirajane said as she put one of her hand on the boy's chest to try to sense any magical power, but she didn't felt nothing. No, Mira, he really poses a great power within him. You may not sense it because you are too young, but I can see it. A power so similar, and yet so different to magic runs through his body, the guild master explained as he gave an analytic view to the unconscious blonde boy. But what could it be, that other current that runs through his body? Just by looking at it I get a sinister feeling, the old man thought to himself. Well, I can't say that I saw his fight with the demon, but I can assure you that he must be a very thug guy by the explosion sounds I heard as I was reaching the place of the fight, and also because he managed to perform a very weird sealing ritual in that bad condition before blacking out, Gildarts said as he gave a look full of pride towards Naruto. I'm quite sure he could be a very good addition to the guild. Gildarts said that as he remembered the last words of Naruto before he blacked out. You can leave me here after all. I wasn't planning to get out alive from this fight. You see, I don't have anything left to keep living for. He couldn't help but feel very sad for the blonde kid. I also believe he would be a great addition to the guild because you know he is strong, and if Gildarts thinks he deserves it, well, I think so too, Erza said immediately after. Gildarts voiced the idea of Naruto joining the guild. She didn't know why, but she started to feel some kind of admiration for the boy after hearing Gildarts' story. Oh come on Erza, you are as dumb and shameful as ever. Just accept that you want him joining the guild because he is hot, but you know what, he does join. I saw him first, so he yes. Mine, Mirajane said as she stood up from the chair she was on to send an evil glare towards Erza. I didn't mean it that way, I just think he could be a great partner for a good spar, and besides I'm not dumb or shameful, you stupid white-haired mole, Erza yelled at Mirajane, with a lot of anger in his voice. What did you say, red-headed bitch? You are looking for a fight, don't you? Mirajane yelled back at Erza as a bitch's smile appeared on her face. Now it's not the time for this, so keep it for another time. Mira, you need to keep healing Naruto, Makarov said with a lot of authority in his voice as he sent a severe look at both girls. Okay, but still I can't do much now, boss. I have finished the healing and cleaning of the whole body, so he is stable now, but I have tried nearly every healing magic that I know. On that burn on his left arm and nothing works, and his left arm seems to be damaged by cuts to a cellular level, so I can't do much on that one too, but still I don't think he will have problems with those two for the moment. Besides, it seems he has been through much worse injuries. Just look at that, Mirajane said as she pointed towards an XA-shaped scar that Naruto had over the place where the heart is located. Makarov walked towards the place where Mira was attending Naruto to look at what the girl was pointing at, and also to analyze personally the unhealed wounds, and when he saw all the scars the boy already had in his body, he tough. It seems that you really have been through a lot in your short lifetime, don't you, boy? Then he looked at his left and right arms for a moment. It seems that this is all we can do for him for today. The wound in his arms cannot be treated by us, but tomorrow I will take him with an old friend of mine. I bet she can heal them quite easily. For now, Gildarts, could you help me to carry him to a bed on the upper floor? The old man asked the Gildarts before turning to the both girls and saying, thank you both for your great work attending the kid, but now you may go to your homes and have a good rest. I will watch over him for the night, and tomorrow I will take him to my old friend, so don't expect him to be around here. The least I can promise you both is that I will invite him to join the guild in the moment he regains consciousness, the old man said with an enthusiastic smile on the face. Okay, I will look forward to that promise, boss. I'm quite interested in meeting that boy, and I'm sure my redhead friend is also interested, Mirajane said with an evil smirk in her face. Erza just blushed a little because of Mirajane's insinuation, and then bowed, wishing good night to Gildarts and to Makarov, and after that she left the guild quickly, followed by a laughing Mirajane. Now then, let's take the kid upstairs and then you can tell me what else is troubling you, Gildarts, Makarov said with a concerned tone of voice as he started to go upstairs. You know me too well, old man, don't you? Gildarts said as he picked Naruto and then went upstairs following the guild master. A little later at Makarov's office. So what's troubling you, my old friend? Makarov asked with a friendly and kind tone of voice. Well, Gramps, to tell you the truth, I worried for Naruto, and not because of his wounds. You see, when I met him he asked me to take care of this, Gildarts said as he put the scroll, in which Naruto sealed Chernabog, on the table. What is this thing? A scroll for what? The guild master asked, very confused. Well, my friend, that thing is where the boy sealed Chernabog, and if you don't believe me you just have to touch it to feel his demonic presence roaming on it. And as Gildarts said that, Makarov touched the scroll and he immediately felt the presence of the demon. Incredible, I have never seen a seal like this one before, and he must be a genius to be able to use seals at such a young age, Makarov said with pride in his words. Yeah, it's incredible, but that is not what is bothering me. What troubles me is something that he said after handing me the scroll, because he told me to leave him behind and go away. He also told me that he didn't have the plan to survive the fight against the demon because he didn't have anything left to live for, and then I saw the look in his eyes. They were filled with sadness, hatred and emptiness. It was like looking at the eyes of a dead corpse, Gildarts said with a very worried tone in his voice. So that's part of the reason you gave the idea to make him a guild member, Makarov said with a deep tone in his voice. Yeah, it was the only idea that came to my mind when I saw all that pain in his eyes. I mean, if we could give him a new reason to live for, maybe we could heal his damaged heart, eh? Little Gildarts said with a sad tone in his voice. Gildarts, you really are a good man for worrying so much about the child, but if he doesn't want our help we won't be able to do anything, so you must be ready for a possible denial, but I promise you that I will try to convince him of joining the guild, because since I saw him I got this strange feeling that told me he belonged here, Makarov said with a concerned tone of voice, and then turned to look at the rainy night through the window of his office. Damn, I really hate rainy days like this one. It seems that only bad things happen on these days, the guild master thought to himself as he kept looking through the window. Naruto felt like he was falling into a dark pit without anything or anyone to hold him to stop his fall, slowly fading into a deeper darkness with every second that passed. In the past, every time he had felt like this, he just needed to remember that there were many people that cared for him. People that would be sad if he just gave up and let himself sink into darkness. But this time was different because he knew that there was no one left that cared for him. No one would worry for him if he disappeared, because everyone and everything that he knew was gone, and all his dreams and ideals were shattered now, leaving him all alone and lost once again. And to make things even worse, he felt that he was the one to be blamed for the destruction of his world. Suddenly he heard a voice calling for him. Damn it kid, you are hopeless, just look at yourself mourning about the deaths of all those useless humans and blaming yourself with the responsibility of the destruction of our world. And not only that, you also let that useless demon to nearly kill you just to punish yourself. The QB roared with rage after saying that. Shut up fucking fox, I'm in no mood to talk to you, and besides, why do you care? For what I know, you always enjoy when I suffer, Naruto said, sounding annoyed. That is true, but not when you are trying to get yourself killed. Don't you see that if you die I die too? The demon fox growled. Well, in that case I would be doing a big favor to the world, and I am quite sure that I asked you to heal my wounds while I was fighting. Naruto snapped at the demo fox. That's no funny kid, and besides I tried to heal your fucking wounds, but there was something rare in the energy of that worthless demon. No matter how much chakra I used, your wounds didn't seem to heal at the same speed as always, the demon fox said with a voice full of rage. Well then, in that case don't blame me for nearly dying out there, it was also your fault, you idiot, and besides I am free to choose if I want to keep living or not, and to tell you the truth right now I have a lot of good reasons to take that decision. After all the destruction of our world, it's my fault, Naruto said with a voice full of anger and pain. Oh come on, stop crying like a little baby for something that wasn't your fucking fault, and start looking for new dreams, ideals and all that shit you are always swearing to protect. Damn it kid, sometimes I wonder what happened to the stupid blockhead that never gave up, that you used to be. The QB snapped at Naruto with hatred in his voice. Naruto took some time to digest all the things that the QB had said to him, and he knew that the demon was right. He needed to try to move on with his life, but he was afraid of being alone once again. He didn't want it to suffer the feeling of loneliness once again, so he just closed his eyes without saying anything. I know that you are afraid of being alone once again kid, but let's be realistic, you were alone for the first 12 years of your fucking life, thanks to me of course. But you never gave up, and in the end you got a lot of useless friends, so what makes you think that you can't achieve that in this place too? Besides, now you have that nasty all shiny attitude that makes me want to vomit, that seems to make people to like you, so why don't you try to start once again? The QB talked with an annoyed tone with Naruto, as he stared at his floating body in the middle of the darkness that was filling his mind. Naruto kept his eyes closed as he thought about what the demon fox just said, and after some minutes he opened his eyes and tried to stand up. That was when he realized that the whole time he has been lying on the ground in front of the demon fox cage. You know what, you may be right, it's pointless to give up now, maybe there is a reason for my survival. I made up my mind, I'll stop trying to get myself killed. And maybe I'll try to live a new life in this world. It may be difficult, but who knows, maybe with the time the pain will go away. But seriously, who would have thought that you can give good advices, stupid fox? Thank you anyway, Naruto said as a smirk appeared in his face. TCH, don't get me wrong, stupid kid, I didn't do it because I care about you or anything. I still hate you more than anything in this world. It is just that you and your self-pity was starting to annoy me. But if you are feeling thankful, why don't you give me back my chakra and release me so I can wreak havoc in this world as a payment, the QB said with an evil smile in his face as he looked at Naruto with hatred in his eyes. Very funny, stupid fox, but don't worry, that thought never crossed my mind, but thanks. You just gave me my first promise to keep in this new world, and it is to never let you harm anyone from this place, Naruto said with a mocking tone in his voice as he started to walk away from the cage of the demon fox. Well, in that case I will have to enjoy all that pain you are going to be feeling from here on. Now get the hell out of here, fucking kid. And as the demon fox said that, Naruto started to feel a twitch in the back of his head, and suddenly he lost his conscience once again. Someplace at the woods located on the outskirts of Magnolia. As Naruto started to regain consciousness, he felt an intense pain on his right arm and strangely an incredibly cold sensation on his left arm instead of the intense pain that the burn from the Manjikyu Sharingan should be causing him. After a few minutes he opened his eyes and it appeared that he was resting on a bed inside of what seemed to be a hut built inside of a tree. There were a bunch of strange-looking herbs in various sites of the room, and apparently a tree was growing in the middle of the room. Man, how the hell did I get here? The last thing I remember was meeting an old man after I sealed that demon, then I blacked out. Could it be that he took me here and healed me? Naruto thought to himself as he tried to move out of the bed, but the terrible pain he felt in his right arm stopped him on his tracks. Ah damn it, I won't use the Shuriken Rasengan ever again without entering in Sage mode. My arm hurts like hell, and this time Granny Tsunade is not here to help me out. Damn, Naruto tough to himself as he took a look to his damaged arm that was hanging on a sling that was tied to his neck. Well, I will have to say thank you to the person that healed me. After all, he or she did the best that he or she could. Right now the only thing that pains me is this useless arm. I wonder how long it will take until I can move it again, Naruto thought, and then he sighed. By how it looks, it will take a lot of time. It's a miracle that your arm wasn't grinded by that stupid wind attack. You really are stupid kid to use such a technique even when you knew the consequences. Why don't you try to apply some of my chakra on it? Maybe it can accelerate the healing, the demon fox said with an annoyed tone of voice, and then he grumbled. Yeah, you're right, maybe that will help. And as Naruto said that, he started to concentrate, and after a few seconds his right arm was covered with the red demonic chakra of the QB. Well, at least this way the pain is reduced, but I still won't be able to use this arm in a while, Naruto thought as he stood up from the bed, and when he saw some apples lying on a table that was next to his bed he went and grabbed one. Man, I'm starving. I wonder for how long I've been unconscious and why the hell I feel so cold, Naruto thought as he gave a bite to the apple, but then he realized why he was feeling so much cold. He was only wearing his boxers on. What were the hell are my clothes, and more importantly, who the hell undressed me, he thought, and then he started to search frantically for them. But suddenly the front door of the hut opened, and then a slim and tall elderly woman with pink hair, tied in a bun on the back of her head by 2 large pins with crescent moon-shaped edges, and with 2 bangs of hair left framing her face entered the room. She was wearing a dark green blouse with a tie around the collar, paired with a long matching skirt and simple shoes, with a crimson-red colored cape that nearly covered her whole body. As soon as she entered the room she closed the door and sent an angry glare to Naruto. Naruto could feel an incredibly powerful yet calming aura coming from the old woman just by looking at her, and when she glared at him he felt like if she was looking directly at his soul. "Who are you?" were the only words that he could mutter as he stared directly at her. "I should be the one asking that, don't you think? After all, you are in my house," the pink-haired woman said with a calm tone of voice but without changing the angry look she was giving him. Yes, sorry for my bad manners. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Were you the one who treated my wounds?" Naruto asked with a friendly tone of voice. "Yeah, I was the one who treated your worst injuries, and to tell you the truth I was quite intrigued by them. I cannot imagine what kind of magic could have caused them. The burns you had on your left arm were different to any kind of wound I had treated in the past. They seemed to keep harming you even when there was no fire left to burn your skin. I had to try a bunch of things to stop their growth, and then heal them, but your right arm is a complete mystery to me. I don't know how to heal it completely. I've been trying to find a way to heal it since Makarov brought you here 3 days ago, and I still don't have a solution. Actually, I went to the forest to find some herbs to try to make a new medicine, but when I was on my way back here I felt a strong source of demonic energy inside of my house, and to my surprise I found out that you were the source of that wicked energy," the pink-haired woman said as the anger in her eyes started to burn with an incredible intensity while she stared directly at Naruto's eyes. "Now you better explain to me, why are you able to control that monstrous demonic energy before I assume you are a demon who is only pretending to be a human," the old lady said with an angry tone of voice, but she realized that in the moment she mentioned the word demon the blonde boy in front of her turned to look at the ground with a very sad look on his eyes. Then he looked directly at her once again, but this time his eyes were empty of any emotion before saying, "Well, that wouldn't be new. After all, I've been hated by many just because they make that same stupid assumption you just mentioned. But don't worry, I am not a demon. And the reason of why I'm able to use this demonic energies, it's a very long story. But it doesn't matter. I understand that you want me to leave. I can see it in your eyes, so there's no need to keep glaring at me. I understand when I'm not wanted on a place. Could you tell me where are my clothes, so I can leave you in peace?" Naruto said with a cold tone of voice as he looked at the old woman with a sad and empty look on his eyes. She was impressed to see such a miserable look on a boy of that young age. It was the look of someone who has experienced an incredible amount of pain, hate, and suffering on his life. She couldn't help to feel sorry for the kid, so she stopped glaring at him. After all, thanks to all the experience she had acquired on her life, she knew that demons weren't capable of expressing emotions such as remorse, sadness, or love, and this boy was clearly experiencing the first two. "I never said that you had to leave, young man, and don't worry, I believe you. I can see in your eyes that you are telling me the truth, and I also can see in them that you have been through a lot. I want to apologize for being rude, but you see, demonic energy is very dangerous for humans. I just wanted to know, why are you able to use it?" the pink-haired woman said while she gave him a little smile. "So what do you say if we start once again? My name is Porlyusica, and I have a lot of time to listen to the reasons of why you are capable of using those demonic powers. Actually, we both have a lot of time to talk. The person that is coming to pick you up to take you to the guild will come here until tomorrow morning," Porlyusica said with a calm tone of voice as she sat on a chair that was on the left side of the house tree. Naruto was quite shocked because this woman was the first person that had apologized to him after calling him a demon, and not only that, she was able to see through the mask he always used to hide how he was feeling. She saw all the pain he was feeling just with a look at his eyes. Suddenly a strange need to tell her his story overwhelmed him. It was the first time in years that he desperately needed to talk with someone, and for some strange reason the calming aura surrounding this old woman made him believe that he could trust in her. "Are you sure you want to tell her our story? Runt, you know how people tend to act towards you when they find out about me?" The angry voice of the demon fox resounded in his mind. "Shut up, fox, I don't care, and beside, I don't know why I feel that this time it will be different. I feel that I can trust in her, and more importantly, if I don't talk with someone about all the pain I am feeling, I'm going to have a mental break pretty soon," Naruto said with a tortured tone of voice. "For God's sake, I can't believe how soft you had become. What happened to the yellow shadow reaper that stopped a whole army of 500 ninja by himself during the war?" the demon fox said, and then growled to the blonde kid to show his disgust towards him. "Shut up, fox, you know I am not a cold-hearted demon like you. I am a human, and things like losing all the persons and things that you cared for tend to affect us a lot, and you know what, now that I have decided to try to start again, I doubt that I will go back to be that cold-hearted killer. Right now the only thing that I want is to forget about that war. I am not proud for all the people I killed. Actually, I always felt fear of becoming like Sasuke, a complete monster who loved to slaughter people," Naruto said with a mixture of anger and sadness in his voice. You are going to make me cry. Well then, if you are telling her our story, at least ask for some information too. We don't even know the name of this world, and didn't you notice that she talked about magic, and that stupid demon we sealed also asked you what kind of mage you were? Oh, and just to be sure that you know it already, kid, you really are a monster. A man who killed 500 persons can't be called by other name," the QB said with a mocking tone of voice, and then he chuckled evilly after saying the last thing. "Go to hell, stupid son of a bitch," Naruto yelled with raw anger in his voice, and then his conscience returned to the outside world. "So what do you think? Are you going to tell me the reason of your demonic powers and maybe a little about your origins? Porlyusica asked once again with her calm tone of voice, as she stared with curiosity in her eyes towards the blonde boy that seemed to be spacing out for a moment. Okay, I will tell you about my past, but first I need you to promise me 3 things, Naruto said with a serious tone of voice as HW went to sit at her side. That will depend on what are these promises that you want me to make, the woman replied with her calm tone of voice as she turned to look at the blonde. Naruto nodded and then said, don't worry, they are simple promises. First of all, I want you to keep as a secret everything that I am about to tell you. Second, in exchange of what I am about to tell you, I want to have some information about this world and this magic you keep talking about. And third, you won't interrupt me until I am done telling you my story. As Naruto said this, he could see how the face of the old woman was filled with curiosity. Okay, I can promise you that, but why do you want information about the world and about magic since they are such common things? The woman said with confusion clearly showing on her face. Well, I want that information because I am not from this world. I know it sounds weird, but the only thing I know is that I got here because of a dimensional rift that was caused by the crashing of one of my abilities with an enormous explosion that occurred in my world, the blonde said with a sad look on his face as he remembered his last moments in his world. Pure shock was shown in the woman's face as she heard what the blonde said. But that's impossible. There is no magic capable of opening dimensional gates. You better not be lying to me, the woman said with a frown in her face. You promised me that you wouldn't interrupt me, remember? And as the blonde said that, the pink-haired woman stopped frowning and relaxed on her chair as she nodded as a gesture that he could go on with his story. I really don't know much about magic, but I can tell you that in the place where I come from there's plenty of techniques that can change dimensional stability, allowing you to teleport from one place to another. Actually, I am able to perform one of those techniques, or jutsus as the people from my world used to call them. The one that I can use, it's called Flying Thunder God, and it allows me to teleport from one place to another by using seals to guide the trajectory of the teleportation. So you are capable of teleporting yourself. That is amazing, but if you are not from Earthland, what is the name of your world, and more importantly, could it be that the demon energy you used before is one of this jutsus you are talking about? The woman asked with a doubtful tone of voice. After all, it was hard to believe what Naruto was saying. My world was known by the name of the elemental nations. I was a ninja of the village hidden in the leaves known as Konohagakure, and as I told you before, we weren't capable of using the strange energy you use. That I assume is the magic that you keep talking about. Instead of that, we ninjas used a special kind of energy called chakra, and I can tell you, for what I learned in my fight against that monster, that my chakra is not too different from your magic. It's just that the chakra is more dense, and it's made of a mixture of vital and spiritual energy. And I don't know if I am right, but I feel that your magic is made by pure spiritual energy. But anyways, that does not matter right now, Naruto stated, with a serious tone of voice. What you wanted to know is why I am able of using demonic energy. You see, back in my world there were always lots of conflicts going on between different countries. So to maintain their stability, the larger nations were always on the look of a better weapon to assure their victory, and also to end wars as quickly as possible. And as a consequence of this, some of those countries started to use forgiven rituals to bring demons into the world and use them as their weapons, but they didn't count with the fact that the demons, as creatures made of pure hatred, weren't planning to obey them. So instead of having a new weapon, they brought upon them their own demise. As Naruto said this, Porlyusica was shocked, and she couldn't believe how far the stupidity of humanity could go to actually believe they could use demons as weapons. And everything got worse when the Jubi was brought to the world by the rebel demons. He was a demon god that nearly brought our world to an end. The legend said that it was capable of destroying an entire country in less than a day. But anyway, just when he was about to destroy my world, a man appeared and fought against the demon god. The legend said that the battle lasted for 6 days, but in the end this man managed to seal the demon god inside of him. The remaining inhabitants of the world were so surprised by the strength of this mysterious man that they decided to follow his lead and gave him the title of the Sage of the Six Paths. He was the creator of the ninja system, and he was the one who divided the power of the nations, trying to achieve a certain kind of balance, Naruto said with admiration in his voice. After all, he used to believe in the same ideals that the Sage of the Six Paths had, but that seemed to be useless now that all his precious people were gone. But he was just a human in the end, so eventually he got old, and when his life was about to end, to stop the return of the demon god, he divided the chakra of the demon in 9 pieces, and with the divided chakra he created 9 demonic beasts that later on were known as the Tailed Beast. After his death there was a long time of peace, and around that time was when the 5 strongest ninja villages were formed. But after that the stupidity of humanity was shown once again, and new conflicts started, and even when they knew it was dangerous they tried to use the Tailed Beasts on this wars. Once again Naruto narrated the story with a serious tone of voice, sometimes showing amazement, and in certain moments he also showed anger, and Porlyusica managed to see that every time the blonde mentioned the Tailed Beast an expression of sadness and frustration appeared on his face. At the beginning of the story, Porlyusica was completely skeptic about what the blonde was telling her, but then when she couldn't find any trace of a lie in the face of the blonde teen, she started to believe in what he was saying, and suddenly she realized that she was fascinated by the story of the world of this strange blonde. She started to be quite intrigued by this so-called chakra he mentioned, but still there was a question lingering in her head that she couldn't help to ask Naruto. That story is fascinating and all, but how is it related with your ability of using demonic power? And as she asked that, she managed to see that the face of the boy was filled with anguish and sadness. Well, I already started. I cannot stop now. It's time to tell her about my life. Please God, at least for one time give me a hand here and make her understand that I am not a demon. Naruto thought to himself as the pained look on his face grew bigger. Then he turned to look at the old woman and said, Granny, what I am about to tell you is the story of my life. And to tell you the truth, it's not a happy one. It starts bad and ends bad, so I want you to swear that you will wait till I finish to ask anything. I don't think I will be able to keep going. If you stop me, it will be just too painful. There are so many memories that are painful, Naruto said with a broken look on his face. Right now it was extremely difficult for him to keep his fake mask up. The pink-haired woman only nodded to his request. She didn't know why, but she started to feel sad for the poor teen, and a strong necessity of doing something for him started to overwhelm her. Okay, what I told you before happened many years before I was born, but it's completely related to my life. You remember that I mentioned that the new ninja nation started to fight again and that they wanted to use the tailed beast for that? The blonde asked, and Porlyusica only nodded in response. Well, this time they knew the risks of dealing with demons, but this time they also had the knowledge and sealing techniques left behind by the Sage of the Six Paths, so they decided to try to seal the tailed beast inside of humans so they could use their power and maintain them controlled at the same time. At the begging, every try was futile, and the possible host just died in the process of sealing, but with the time they managed to do it, and with that a new kind of fighter was born, and they were called Jinjuriki, the power of human sacrifice, Naruto said with a pained look and a sad tone of voice. Now what I will tell you is something I found out 2 years ago. Apparently my mother was one of these Jinchurikis, and when I was about to be born the seal of the demon got weaker, so my dad and her had to get out of the village to assure the security of the villagers, but what they didn't know was that a man was seeking to free the demon trapped inside my mother in order to use it to destroy the village, and he did it. When I was born he threatened to kill me if my father dared to restore the seal of the demon, and in the end the seal broke and the demon escaped from my mother's body, leaving her about to die. And this man took the demon and went to destroy our village. My father was the leader of the village at that time, so he went to stop him, and in the end to stop the destruction the demon was causing, he and my mother had to sacrifice their lives to stop the demon. And since a special kind of chakra was needed to keep these demons at bay, the only one with the chakra needed to maintain the seal was me, the son of the Jinchuriki. As Naruto said this, Porlyusica's eyes widened in shock. She couldn't believe that the father of this boy took the decision of sealing a monstrosity like that inside his own son. So my father had to seal the demon inside of me, hoping that one day I learned to control it. But as I told you before, I discovered this 2 years ago, and because it was dangerous to reveal any information about what happened on that day, the new leader of the village decided to keep everything related to the incident as a confidential secret. So I grew up not knowing who were my parents, and not knowing that I had a demon sealed inside me, Naruto said with broken look on his face. He couldn't believe how painful it was to remember his past. But everyone who was old enough to remember what happened on that day 17 years ago knew that I was the holder of the demon that nearly destroyed the village and that killed many of their beloved ones. So they treated me as if I was the demon, and as a consequence of that I was always alone. The kids and nearly every one of the village always treated me like shit. Even when they knew that I was an orphan, they throw me out of the orphanage, and usually I received beatings on the streets. To tell you the truth, there were many times in which I thought that maybe if I died everything would have been better for everyone. As Naruto said this, he clenched his fists in anger. He could remember quite clearly how painful it was, and he hated it all. But I never gave up. Something in my mind kept telling me that maybe if I tried harder the people would recognize someday. And with that thought I took the stupid decision that someday I was going to be the leader of the village. But even after I took that decision my life remained being quite the same hell, until I finally managed to become a ninja. That was 5 years ago, because that was the time when I really managed to make my very first friends Sakura and Sasuke. And with that the blonde teen continued with the story. Oh, his life. He told her about the good times he passed with his friends. He also told her about his fights. He told her about how he tried to stop his best friend from going away of the village. He also told her about his pervy godfather and the years he spent with him training. He told her about Akatsuki, the organization that wanted to collect the tailed beasts for their evil plans. He told her about his epic battle against Pain, the supposed leader of Akatsuki who managed to devastate his village. And he told her about the stupid decision he made 2 years ago of finding a way to stop the hatred and the anger of the people. He told her how he learned about the past of his parents, and also about when he learned to control the powers of the demon he carried. And then he told her how his best friend became a monster which he had to kill, and all the terrible things he did during the war. Then he told her how scared he felt of himself when he started to feel that gradually he was losing his humanity. And finally he told her about what he described as his final failure, which led to the destruction of his world and to the deaths of all the people that he cared for. And that is how I ended up here alone without a reason to keep living in a world that is completely unknown to me. Naruto finished his story and turned to look at the old woman. The look in his eyes at the moment was one filled with a mixture of pain, loneliness, sadness, remorse and hate. He just stayed there staring at the stoic figure of the old woman that was sitting at his side waiting for her reaction. He was doing an inhuman effort to hold back the tears that were about to fall from his eyes. Porlyusica was incredibly shocked by all the things that Naruto had told her about his past. She could understand now why he was feeling so sad and miserable, and she could also see the incredible kind of person that he was, because even after all the suffering he had went through since he was a little child, he was able to smile and to care for others. And then she was amazed by the fact that he was capable of being here talking with her after having lost everything. She couldn't help to feel an incredible admiration and compassion for the boy that was staring at her with a tortured look on his eyes. As she stared at his eyes, an incredible feeling of affection overwhelmed her, and as if it was a reflex she embraced him in a hug, and then she whispered at him with a caring tone of voice, "Come on, let it all out, it's not healthy to repress what you feel." Naruto could have expected any kind of reaction except this one. He was ready to be called a monster, to be kicked out of her house, but instead the old woman was hugging him in a motherly way, and in the moment he heard her words he broke into tears. He cried like when he was a little kid. He cried without caring who could see him. He cried as he returned the hug to this strange woman who, at least for him, was the most marvelous person in this world at the moment. In the moment that Porlyusica felt that the boy was hugging her back, she felt as if something had cracked in her old heart. "I still hate humans, but now there's at least another person that is worthy enough to receive my affection. Now you are not unique, stupid old Makarov," she thought to herself, and then she was surprised when she saw that she also had some tears in her eyes. "You are indeed a strange but amazing kind of person, Naruto. I didn't know you, and still you managed to enter into my heart," the old woman thought as she started to caress the blonde teen's hair in a comforting way. 2 hours later, Naruto woke up on the lap of the old woman. Apparently he had fallen asleep when he was crying, so he stood up immediately, a little ashamed of himself, and turned to look at her. Just to realize that her dress was covered by his tears and other nasal fluids, he couldn't help to feel ashamed. "I'm sorry, Porlyusica-san, for crying and all that stuff, and also for messing up your dress. If you want, I can clean it when you get changed." And as Naruto said that, he realized that he was no longer wearing only his boxers. This time he was wearing a pair of black jeans and a white hoodie with some black symbols that seemed to be some kind of runes. Porlyusica couldn't help to smile at the blonde teen reaction. "I used my magic to put those on you after you fall asleep. You see, it was quite weird to have a semi-naked kid sleeping on my lap," she said with a mocking tone of voice as she gave him a smile. "Oh right, I'm sorry, but seriously, I don't know how to thank you for all the things you have done for me, Granny. First you healed me and now this. I assure you that someday I will find a way to repay you," the blonde said while blushing a little. "Don't worry, boy, you don't have to repay me for anything. After all, what I did was just give a hand to someone that really needed it. But if you want to repay me in some way for me, it will be more than enough if you promise me that you won't give up on living. I know it will be hard to try to start a new life in an unknown world, but I can see now that you are a strong-hearted person, and I am sure that if you try hard enough you will be able to find happiness once again," the woman said with a serious yet calm tone of voice, as she stood up from her chair and started to walk towards what appeared to be a little stove. "Hey, where are you going, Granny? You promised to tell me about this world and the magic if I told you about my past, so please don't leave me hanging here," Naruto said with a tone he hadn't used in a lot of time, and that was his usual friendly and goofy tone of voice, which surprised him a lot. He was impressed because of the relief he felt after he let his emotions and frustrations flow out of his body, and for the first time he started to believe that maybe he could really start a new life here. "Well, young man, you see it's quite late already, and I'm starting to get a little hungry, and I bet that after 3 days of sleep you must be starving too, so after I fix us something to eat I will tell you everything that you need to know about this world," Porlyusica said as she started to cut some vegetables near the weird stove. Half an hour later, Porlyusica was telling everything she knew about the world to Naruto while they were eating. She told him about the magic guild system, which Naruto found was quite similar to how the ninja villages worked back on his world. She also told him about how magic worked and about all the kinds of magic she knew. Naruto was surprised to find that magic was more like a contract made with the elements and nature that allows the user to mix them with his own spiritual energy. He found it quite similar to the way his sage mode worked, he thought. She also warned him about the fact that the use of any kind of dark and demonic magic was considered a crime punished with death penalty. She also told him that the reason of that kind of punishment was a consequence of some events that had happened in the past, which ones involved a dark mage called Zirif, who apparently was feared by everyone in this world. "So Granny, could you tell me why this Zirif guy causes fear in the people even nowadays? Didn't you said he died long ago?" Naruto asked with a confused look on his face as he chomped down an apple. "The reason of that is because one day he just disappeared without leaving any trail of what happened to him. Or where did he go? Of course, with the time people got to the conclusion that he was dead, but in reality he just disappeared. Actually, the only evidence that can prove that he existed are the creations he left behind after disappearing. Which ones are the main reason of the fear that the name Zirif causes?" Porlyusica said with a serious tone of voice and a somber look in her face. "So he is feared because of his creations, but why? I mean, what kind of things he created to be feared by everyone?" Naruto asked to the old woman with a serious tone of voice as he stared directly at the woman waiting for an answer. "Zirif is feared because he is the only mage known in history that is capable of creating demons with his magic power, and not only that, he was also known by his incredible skills in human and material transmutation, which ones allowed him to create a lot of wicked artifacts that served as containers for the demons he created," the old woman explained to Naruto with a sad look on her face, which actually surprised Naruto. But he was quite confused by what the old woman just said, so he didn't notice the change in her mood. "I don't get it. He was capable of creating demons with his magic, but then instead of letting them loose to cause destruction, he just sealed them inside of objects created with alchemy. But for what purpose?" the blonde boy asked to the old woman, who only stood up and walked towards a window in the front of the cabin. He didn't seal them away, he used to link the souls of the demons to his alchemical creations, which allowed them to avoid any kind of magical detection as long as they stood hidden inside of these objects. And in the end this came to be Zeref's secret weapon, because he just needed to send one of these objects to any place he wanted to destroy, and since the presence of the demons was undetectable he just needed to wait for the perfect moment to let the demon loose to cause destruction. I don't even know how many cities and towns were obliterated in this way during the war against the Dark Mage, and actually nowadays there are still some remnants of his creations roaming around the world. Sometimes you can hear stories about towns and villages that disappear in one night, and that the only trail left by the attackers is always the same vile aura of corruption, Porlyusica said with a wise and kind of melancholic tone of voice as she stared at Naruto with a calculating look on her face. Well, I guess every world has its own insane maniacs, but seriously, you told me that there's a bunch of different kinds of mages out there, so I know one has done something to kill or seal the remaining demons of this Zeref guy? Naruto asked with a confused look on his face as he stared directly at the back of the old woman. There has been mages who have tried to kill them and they were successful with the weaker demons that Zeref created, but those who had tried to stop one of the 10 demons from the Book of Zeref are all dead right now, the pink-haired old woman said with a serious tone of voice, with all her attention centered on the blonde boy as if she was expecting some kind of reaction from the blonde boy. Hey Granny, what is that Book of Zeref that you mentioned before? And why no one has tried to seal those demons instead of killing them? Is much easier to get rid of them in that way, Naruto said with a wise tone of voice. After all, he had a vast knowledge of demons, and for him it was quite obvious that it was better to seal a demon instead of trying to kill it, and of course less dangerous. Well, young man, that is another thing that intrigues me about you, because until now there was only one kind of magic known to be capable of sealing a demon, and the only person known that had used it died as a consequence. And yet the man who saved you told me that he saw you sealing away a demon inside of a scroll with a strange kind of magic, the old woman said with a serious tone of voice but with admiration in her eyes. That alone is something impressive, but the thing that is even more impressive is that the demon he sealed was the 8th registered on the Book of Zeref, the one known as Chernabog, the Reaper of Souls. With those 2 achievements, he could easily be classified as an SS class mage. I really hope for the good wealth of this world that he ends siding up with the light mages, the old woman thought to herself as she stared at the blonde boy. Okay, I understand that L sealed a strong demon, but I didn't use any kind of magic. I used one of the few ninjutsu from my world anyway. Granny, you haven't answered my question. What is this Book of Zeref that you keep mentioning? Naruto asked with a harsh tone because he was getting a little annoyed by the stares the old lady was sending him. Naruto, you may not understand it right now because you are not from around here, but by sealing that demon you did something that could be catalogued as legendary. You see, the Book of Zeref is one of the cursed relics he left behind before disappearing. It contains information about his 10 strongest demonical creations and about the objects they are linked to. And well, the 8th Chernabog, the Ripper of Souls, who was linked to the Chalice of Dark Souls, is the demon that you managed to seal. Just imagine what could be done if you joined to Fairy Tail, and then teach those sealing abilities to the mages of the guild. We could, Porlyusica was saying with an enthusiastic tone of voice until she was interrupted by a very angry and annoyed-looking Naruto. That will never happen, and I am sorry if I am harsh telling you this, but I never said I would be joining a magic guild. Yeah, I think they are interesting and I had decided to try to live in this world, but I won't join to any guild. I really have too much to mourn about, and also so many things I want to forget about the war in which I fought for 2 long years. And to tell you the truth, after all the shit that have happened to me, I don't think I am ready to fight again, and if what you told me about magic guilds is true, then I will need to fight to be in one. And I won't share my skills with no one of this world, Naruto said with a tone of voice that indicated that this was his final decision and nothing could be done to change it. I know for experience that the sealing jutsus in the wrong hands can be used to create terrible things. I am a perfect example of that, a human with a demon sealed inside. That was meant to be used as a weapon for war. Well, I don't want to be the one who brings that kind of knowledge to this world, Naruto stated with a very harsh tone of voice as he glared angrily towards the old woman. Porlyusica was regretting everything that she had said before. It was until now that she realized how stupid was her suggestion to the blonde. She had asked him to teach the knowledge that has brought his own world to an entire destruction. To the mages of this world, who tend to be as stupid as the shinobis from his world. I am sorry, I understand why you don't want to teach your skills to the people of this world, and I respect your decision, but what concerns me more is what are you planning to do from here on if you are not planning to join to a guild? The pink-haired woman apologized and then asked with concern in her voice. Don't worry about it, Granny. Thanks for understanding me, and well, I don't really know what I am going to do. Probably I will find a job and then rent, or buy a place to live in peace. Who knows, the blonde said with a carefree tone of voice as he rubbed his temples to calm his sudden rush of anger. The old woman could see, even if he was trying to hide it with his carefree attitude, that Naruto felt really lost and probably without a motive to keep going on in his life. But what could she do to help him after all? How do you help someone who had lost everything? So she could only say the only thing that came to her mind, well, at least before doing what you want to do, you should go to Fairy Tail to pick up your stuff and say thanks. After all, they were the ones who actually saved your life. I just healed the difficult injuries, the old woman said with some authority in her voice, just like the one a mother uses to scold her kids. Well, I actually was planning on doing that. After all, I am not an ungrateful person, and I really need to get back my gear and belongings since they are the only things I have left from, you know where, the blonde teen said with a kind of melancholic tone of voice. In that case I warn you, Makarov the guild master will probably want to know about you, so what you tell him, it's up to you, child. I made you the promise of keeping everything you said to me as a secret, and I will stick up to my word if you decide to keep your past as a secret to him. This old woman won't tell a word about you, but if it's of any use, let me tell you at least that he is the kind of person who would do anything to help those that are in need, so you can trust in him, the pink-haired woman said with her usual calm tone of voice as she gave a reassuring nod to Naruto in the last part. I'll think about it, Granny. After all, I will need to explain some things like how I was able of sealing a demon, or what the hell I was doing there before the demon attacked, Naruto said, sounding a little worried about how he was going to explain all that had happened. Don't worry, boy, there are many kinds of unknown and ancient magic arts. You can easily explain your abilities by saying that they are some kind of lost arcane magic, but by any means necessary try not to use your demonic powers. I already have told you the penalty for the users of this kind of magic, so don't use it. I don't want you being labeled as a rouge mage. And about your origins, you could tell you are a survivor of the village that was attacked by the demon, or just a wanderer who had been traveling across different countries after fighting for 2 years in a war, the old woman said with a kind tone as she stood up and started to walk towards the front door of the cabin. Those are quite good setup stories. You would have been a great spy back in my world, you know. And don't worry about my demonic chakra, I always use this as a last resort. But anyway, where are you going? Naruto said with his usual carefree tone of voice. Well, you see, young man, it's getting quite late already. We have spent a whole day talking about your past and about this world, and maybe you don't need to sleep after resting for 3 days, but this old lady needs some rest, Porlyusica said with a happy tone of voice as she opened the main door. It was until now that Naruto realized that it was dark outside the windows of the hut. Geez, I will sleep a little too. My chakra levels are not at their fullest, and who knows what awaits for me tomorrow. Good night, Granny. And after he said that, the old lady left the room with a small smile on her face, and Naruto went to sleep once again, thinking about everything he had learned today and also about what he could do in this new unknown world. Wow, that old hag really surprised me with her reaction. It's the first time we found someone who doesn't freak out after learning about my existence. I wonder if she would do the same if I tried to rip her apart, the demon fox said with an evil tone of voice and an evil chuckle at the end. As if I would let you do that, stupid fox. But you are right, I was very impressed by her reaction, because even when I told her about you and about all the people I killed during the war, she still trusted in me. Makes me wonder if every people in this world could be like her, Naruto said as he started to inspect the seal that was at the front of the cage of the Kyuubi. It would be nice, don't you think? Naruto asked to the demon fox. No, it wouldn't be nice, because if I don't see you suffer I get quite bored in this horrible cage, the demon fox said with an annoyed tone of voice as he turned to look at Naruto. Anyway, what the hell are you doing to the seal, kid? The demon asked with a bored tone of voice. Oh, nothing, just checking if it's in good state. You know, I was wondering if it was affected in any way by the dimensional travel, but it seems to be okay, so I'll be on my way now, Naruto said in a carefree tone of voice as he turned to leave his mindscape. Hey kiddo, don't let your guard down. These people you are meeting tomorrow might have healed you, but remember how bad things can get when you trust too much in someone, the demon fox said with an annoyed tone as he returned to sleep once again. I know that already, Fox, so you don't have to worry about it. I will have my ward up at any time, even if it's not needed. I am a ninja after all. Well, goodbye for now, Naruto said with his carefree tone of voice as he vanished from his mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and then tried to sit up groggily on the bed he was lying, but failed and fall to the side due to the pain he felt on his right arm. Damn, I forget about how damaged it was. I really hope that my arm heals soon. I feel really useless without it, Naruto thought to himself as he managed to sit up at the edge of the bed. Then he heard the voice of Porlyusica, who seemed to be talking with a man outside the room he was in. It seems the person who is going to pick me up finally arrived. I guess it's time to meet my saviors, Naruto thought, and then he chuckled. He found it funny because this was the first time in a very long time that someone had saved his life. It was normally him doing that role for everyone. After he got dressed, he walked towards the door to get out of the room and meet the people outside, since they didn't seem to be coming into the room. When he reached the doorknob, he waited a little bit and tried to hear what they were saying. So the kid is finally up, thanks God. When Gildarts brought him to the guild 3 days ago, he looked terrible. Some of us thought he wouldn't make it through the night, so it's good to know that he is alright now, the voice of the man said with exaggerated enthusiasm. I bet Lisanna will be very happy when she hear this, the man said with yet more enthusiasm. Could you be less noisy? I know it's good that the kid is alright, but you are exaggerating. That's another reason for you of why I hate humans so much, Porlyusica said with an annoyed tone of voices. Old lady, you do realize that you are a human too, so that means you hate yourself, the unknown man said with a mocking tone of voice. Shut up before I decide to beat you down with my broom. Now come on, I will take you to see the child, the old woman said with an exasperated tone of voice. Naruto could only chuckle at what he heard from the two that were talking outside, yet he wondered who could this Lisanna be, and why will she be happy when she learns that he was alright. According to what that man just said, it seems that everyone from their guild got worried by the state I was in. Well, I guess I must have looked horrible. They must be good people if they worried that much about me. I really should go and say thanks. With that thought in mind, he opened the door of the hut and walked outside, which got the attention of the two adults. Hey kiddo, it's good to see you up and walking. After seeing the state you were in, I thought that it would take you at least a month to get well. But it seems that I was wrong, the old man said with a lot of enthusiasm as he smiled to Naruto. Yeah, I've always been a fast healer. but if it weren't for the people of your guild I probably would be dead by now. My name is Naruto Uzumaki by the way, and it's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto said with a friendly tone as he bowed respectfully. Oh, look at that, you are such a respectful boy, aren't you? The name is Makao Konbolt, and it's a pleasure to meet you too, the man known as Makao said with a friendly tone as he stretched his right hand to Naruto. Naruto shook hands with Makao as he said, so I must assume you are here to pick me up and take me to see you, guild master Makarov, was it? Yeah, you could say that now, but actually I was sent here to check on your state. You see, the master has been quite concerned by your health state since the day that Gildarts brought you to the guild on that horrible state, Makao said with a friendly tone as he stared at the boy in front of him who seemed to be on his 17th and looked like a normal teen. Yet according to what Gildarts told them, this boy was strong enough to beat a demon alone, so he couldn't help to feel a little intimidated by the boy. After all, what could he do against someone like him if he ended up being a dark mage? Naruto was not the sharpest kunai around the place, yet he knew that the man in front of him was a little afraid of him, and even when he managed to control his fear greatly, he was giving little signs of it, just like the constant change of his position, or the little amount of sweat that was constantly forming on his forehead. This were things that he had learned to note as a sign of uneasiness during his ninja years. Well, in that case we should go to see your guild master as soon as possible, so he can stop worrying about me, and of course to give my thanks to the people that treated me, Naruto said with a friendly tone of voice and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do, especially after the incident that happened last night with some of your stuff, Makao said with an ashamed tone of voice as he scratched the back of his head. As Makao said that, Naruto's mind was racing in panic. Apparently these people had managed to mess with his stuff, which consisted in a bunch of scrolls with sealed things inside, and more than a half of his stored items were pretty dangerous artifacts that went from explosive tags to a wide variety of sharp and deadly stuff. Not to mention he wasn't too proud of some of the stuff that he had stored in those scrolls. God damn it, what am I going to do if they unsealed that damn scroll that was filled with the corpses of some of the ninjas that I killed in the war? Damn it, I shouldn't have accepted to gather corpses for the investigation bureau. Those guys were insane. Why the hell did they wanted corpses in the first place? Naruto thought to himself as he analyzed the expression of the man in front of him to find out if he was hiding something or acting suspicious towards him. Come on lad, don't give me that look. We didn't try to steal something from you. It was an accident, you see. A kiddo from the guild named Natsu was curious about your stuff, so he went to take a look at it, but when the scroll he took didn't seem to open to look at its contents, he got angry and then he tried to burn it, but when he channelized some of his fire magic on the paper, the scroll exploded, and the next thing we knew was that Natsu was stuck under a giant mountain of what looked like a bunch of weapons and camping gear, Makao explained with a weary tone of voice. After all, something on the back of his head was telling him that it was not a good idea to be in bad terms with this boy, especially when said boy carried with him a ton of deadly weapons. As Naruto heard that, he started to calm down. Apparently the only scroll that this people managed to open was the one that contained his equipment. Damn, that was a close one. I better get rid of that scroll filled with corpses as soon as possible. I don't want to raise suspicions. Well, I guess it's okay then, but it's still wrong to roam on other people's stuff without permission, Naruto said with a carefree tone as he sent a small glare towards the old man in front of him. Yeah, I know that, but you could say that Natsu is not the smartest boy around, and he often acts without thinking, Makao said with a friendly smile on his face. How funny, those words sound quite familiar to me. I bet that kid is quite like myself before the war, Naruto thought as a grim smile appeared on his face. Sorry to interrupt your friendly chat, but the boy is up and healthy, so you better get out of my sight now before I have to pummel you with my broom, Porlyusica shouted at them angrily as she started to spin her broom angrily in front of them. Naruto and Makao's sweat dropped at the old woman's antics as she started to approach to them with her spinning broom. Well, I think we better go before the old lady starts to hit us with that scary broom of hers, Makao said with a nervous smile on his face. Yeah, you may be right, but I'm not leaving because she is scary. On the contrary, I believe she is a very kind person, but I really want to get my gear and equipment back as soon as possible, Naruto said with a friendly tone of voice as he looked at the angry lady with the spinning broom. You say that she is kind, don't you see that the old hag is threatening us with that broom from hell, Makao said with a scared tone, and immediately his words earned him a direct hit to the head with the broom. Porlyusica was impressed because even when she was acting like that, the blonde boy still said that she was a kind person and not a scary one. God, this boy is quite like Makarov. When he was young, no matter what I did to him, he always said that I was a kind person. And as she was thinking this, she heard the words that Makao said, which immediately caused her to send a direct hit with her broom to the poor man's head as she yelled, "Don't call me old hag, that is why I hate humans." She turned towards Naruto with a little smile on her face. That was quite a good chop to the head with that broom, Bachan, Naruto said with a smile on his face as he watched the bump that hit formed on Makao's head. I told you to not call me Bachan boy, but anyway, you are quite an interesting one, so even if I do hate humans, I allow you to visit from time to time. It will be interesting to hear how you do in this place, Porlyusica said with a stern look and a small smile on her face as she pointed her broom menacingly at Naruto's face. Now you better leave, I have a pretty busy day ahead and I can't waste any more time with you two, she said as she turned and walked inside her hut. Naruto couldn't help but smile at the old woman's antics as he watched her enter her house. I knew it, she is quite a nice and kind person, but surely she could have better ways to ask someone to come visit her from time to time, he thought. Meanwhile, Makao couldn't believe what his eyes just witnessed. Never in his life he had seen Porlyusica acting nicely towards anyone, and yet she smiled at this boy and even invited him to come visit her another time. How did you do that? I mean, how did you manage to get in that old lady's good side? Makao practically shouted at Naruto in amazement as he stood up from the ground still, holding the bump that formed on his head. I don't know, what do you mean by saying that? She is just a very nice person with some temper problems, but in the end she is quite nice. But anyway, we should probably go and see Guild Master, don't you think so? Which way do we go? Naruto said with a carefree tone of voice as he turned to look at the older man. Alright then, follow me, I'll lead the way. I bet the people at the guild will be surprised to see you walking so soon, Makao said with an enthusiastic and friendly tone of voice as he started walking towards the forest with Naruto walking right beside him. An hour later at Magnolia City. The word impressed was a short term to describe how amazed Naruto was when he looked at the city of Magnolia. Never in his life he would have imagined that a city could be this big. This place was practically 10 times the size of Konoha, and the architecture of the houses and building was so different to what he was accustomed to see. Not only that, but as he walked through the street with Makao, he couldn't help to look in amazement at all the people that was walking on the street. After all, some were dressed with very weird attires and some were of forms and sizes that he thought should be inhumanly possible. But lastly, he noted that every single person around seemed to be so happy, and this in the end brought him a grim and sad feelings. I guess that this is the final probe that assures that I'm not on the elemental nations anymore. I mean, everything looks so lively here and everyone looks so happy. It kinds of make you think of how unfair our world end was. I mean, before the end of the war nearly every landscape was scorched or marked by the destruction of the war. The civilians of every nation were suffering of sicknesses and starvation because of the taxes that were issued to sustain the fighting force. I mean, everything in our world looked so dead compared to this one. Naruto, tough as a tormented and sad look appeared on his face, which didn't go unnoticed by Makao. Yeah, looking at this place kinds of make you think that this is a better world than ours. I can bet that the final vision of peace of the Sage of the Six Paths was something like this, the Kyuubi said from inside Naruto's mindscape. Wow, Kurama, now that is surprising. I mean, you haven't talked to me in a civil tone of voice since that fight with Madara a year ago, and more importantly, you have never talked about your creator, the sage. Naruto said with a surprised tone of voice as he talked in his thoughts with the Kyuubi. And I will never talk ever again in that way with you, a fucking traitor. That was just a little slip of me. Naruto, I will never forgive you for what you did on that day. You nearly sold me for the life of a girl that was already dead. You betrayed my trust, and that is something I will never forgive. Kurama yelled angrily at Naruto as threw a giant punch towards Naruto, who didn't dodge and let the hit connect with his landscape form. Said punch sent him flying until he crashed against one of the walls of his landscape. I guess I deserve that punch from you, Fox, and probably I deserve even more, but you have to understand that I needed to try. You knew that I loved her more than anything. She was my light on that sea of darkness and bloodshed, and when she died fighting that fucking team, more than a half of me died with her. So when I got that offer from that monster, Naruto was saying with a tortured and faraway look as he stared directly at the demon fox, but he was interrupted by the ferocious roar of the fox. Just shut the hell up, you fucking kid. I have told you 1,000 times that I don't care what were your reasons for me on that day. You betrayed my trust by doing a bargain with a monster who tricked you and nearly killed you, but not only that, he also took more than a half of my power on that day, so don't you ever dare to call me by my name. Now get out of my sight, traitor. And after the demon fox said that, he kicked Naruto out of his mindscape. Makao didn't know what to do or think about this boy. First, he seemed to be quite amazed by the looks of the town and the people, so Makao could guess that he was new to the area, or even the country. But then a very sad look appeared on the boy's face, and to make things even worse, he just stopped walking and suddenly he fell to his knees and started holding his head as if he was in pain. Hey kid, are you alright kid, answer me? Makao asked the boy with worry as he put his hands on the boy's shoulders and started moving him, trying to get a reaction. Then after a moment the boy reacted and pushed Makao away, and then he jumped back and adopted something similar to a battle stance, but then the boy kind of realized what he just did and apologized to him as he helped him to stand up. Hey, I'm pretty sorry about that. You must be thinking that I am nuts or something, but you see, that tends to happen to me from time to time when some bad memories of my past come back, Naruto said, trying to sound as friendly and carefree as possible to not raise suspicions on the man. Well, I can't say that it wasn't strange, but believe it or not, I had seen worse, so don't worry about it. But what do you by bad memories, if you don't mind to tell me? Could it be something related to the demon that you fought or something else? Makao asked with a friendly tone of voice as he started to walk again with the boy. Well, it's not a topic that I like to talk about since it was quite traumatic to me, to tell you the truth, but I can tell you this. I come from a very far away country, and in said country a war started 2 years ago, and I had to fight in it to protect the people that I cared about, but in the end I lost a lot more in that war than what I gained. So after the end of the war I left that country and became a wanderer, and since that day I have been traveling from country to country, trying to find a new meaning from my life. That was until I decided to travel to Fiori, and well, you kind of know the end of the story. I found a demon in the ruins of a village I was planning to visit. I fought him, and here I am. Naruto narrated his half-true half-fake story with a neutral tone of voice, not sad but also not angry, just an empty tone of voice. But what surprised Makao were Naruto's eyes as he told him his story. They were full of sadness, remorse and loneliness. In that moment the thought that a boy of that age shouldn't have that look on his eyes crossed Makao's mind. Okay, that is enough. I understand what kind of bad memories you must have, but goddammit, what kind of place was that country? I mean, you said that you fought in a war for 2 years. That would mean that you were what, 14 or 15? Makao said with a serious and concerned tone of voice. After all, he couldn't conceive the thought of a kid fighting in a war. I was 15 when the war broke out, and while my country of origin works under a militarized regimen, so our childhood ended early when we were enrolled on an academy to start our training as fighters. That was at the age of 10, and by the age of 12 we were declared as full-trained fighters that were supposed to give their lives for their country, Naruto said with a cold tone of voice that made Makao nervous because it seemed that the one talking right now was the trained fighter, and not the boy he met some hours ago. Ouch, it seems that you had quite a rough past, kid, but anyway, what were the things that you were trained to do for your country? Makao asked with a curious tone even when he feared the answer to that question. Naruto stopped walking, and as he did that Makao also stopped to turn to look at him surprised. Naruto didn't know why it was so easy to talk to the people he has met in this world so far. He just felt that they have this aura around them that told you they were trustworthy, so he steeled his resolution to tell this man something that may raise suspicion on him, but he felt that he needed to tell him. Thrust me on this one, old man. You don't want to know what we were trained to do on that academy. On the time I spent living on that country, I did a lot of terrible things that they instructed me to do, and they are things I am not proud of, and now I realize how worthless they were, and they are one of the reasons of why I ran away from that country. To tell you the truth, I kind of wanted to start a new life in another place, and I also wanted to forget all those terrible things from the past, Naruto said with a tone full of resolution that betrayed no doubt that he was telling the truth. Look, kid, I won't judge you for what you did on the past because I can see in your eyes that you are truly ashamed for it. And I also respect that you want to start a new life somewhere else right now. The only thing that I can tell you is that if you are looking for a place to start anew, then Fairy Tail is the place. There is a lot of people with rough pasts there that have grown out of them in the guild cause. You see, we are not just a simple guild, we like to call ourselves one big family. Oh, and by the way, your past is safe with me. I won't tell it to anyone unless you allow me. After all, everyone deserves to keep their secrets, but thank for the vote of confidence. By the way, Makao said with a big smile on his face as he gave a one-armed hug to Naruto. Long forgotten was the man that felt uneasy around the blonde boy. One big family, huh? It does sound like an interesting place, but am I ready for something like that? More importantly, do I even deserve to belong to a place like that when I am the reason of the downfall of a world? Naruto thought to himself as a grim feeling started to overwhelm him again, but this time he tried to send it to the back of his mind. You know, old man, maybe one day I can be a part of Fairy Tail, but right now I still need to think about it, Naruto said with a small smile on his face. Okay, I respect that, but think about it, kiddo. Maybe by the end of this day we may have a new member in our family. And by the way, we have arrived, Makao said in a happy tone as he stopped in front of a very peculiar yet impressive building that looked like a miniature version of one of the pagodas that he had seen on the elemental nations, with a gigantic door and a banner at the top of said door that read Fairy Tail. Well, it's certainly the building kind of stand out, don't you think, old man? Naruto said with carefree tone of voice as he took in all the details about the build. Makao laughed a little because of Naruto's comment as he said, well, yeah, but we like it that way because you see, our dream is to be the best guild in all Fiori one day, and then we will want to be recognized by our extravagant way of doing things. Well, you are certainly on the right path to achieve your dream. Then I mean, the people at your guild are surely something else if they just help a perfect stranger like me. Even when you didn't know anything about me, I can tell you that things like that speaks highly of your guild, Naruto said with pride on his words as he walked toward the door of the building. Thank you about that compliment. It's good to know that someone thinks we are doing things right, but we should go in and talk with the guild master, and not only that, I bet everyone will be pleased to see you walking, Makao said as he walked forward and grabbed the handle of the main door. So Naruto, are you ready to go in? Makao asked with a friendly tone as he turned to look at Naruto. Hey, you are talking with Naruto Uzumaki. I am always ready. Makao could only chuckle when he heard Naruto's words as he opened the main door. When Naruto took a glance at the insides of Fairy Tail, he wasn't amazed at all. Everything looked like a gigantic bar of sorts. There were large tables with large benches lining up around the room. There was a little bar at the bottom of the room, and there was a staircase that went up to a second floor. He could also see some doors here and there that probably went to other rooms, but nothing to be too amazed about. But what got his attention was the people in the room. They were from a wide range of ages. Some were old, but there were also a lot of kids that looked between 12 to 15 years old. But what he noticed over all the other things was every one of them had a smile on their face, which proved that every single one of them was enjoying the time they were spending with their friends. Even when right now it just seemed like they were literally biting the crap out of each other in a full-out fight. As Naruto stared at the chaos going on all around the guild, he couldn't help to feel a mixture of sadness and anger curse through all his body. Goddammit, when I look at them I just can't help but think of how unfair was the end of all of my friends. What would I give if I could enjoy my time with them at least one last time? And what makes it even worse is that they're dead. Is my fault. If I was stronger, I could have stopped Madara before he blew that fucking chakra bomb. Naruto, tough as the anger he was feeling overcame the sadness, and he didn't realize that he started to grit his teeth and clench his fists in anger. And also he didn't notice that because of his anger he started to release a small quantity of killing intent, which didn't went unnoticed by some of the most experienced members on the guild, a little group that included Gildarts, Laxus and his Thunder Goddess tribe, Little Erza and Little Mira, who immediately stopped fighting with each other as soon as they felt this little source of killing intent and started looking for its origin. And finally the last one to notice it was the guild master Makarov Dreyer. Hey stupid kid, you better control that anger of yours right now. You are starting to generate killing intent without noticing, and I already managed to pinpoint 8 persons that had noticed that you are the origin, and I'm pretty sure that giving off killing intent it's not the best thing to do to give a first good impression to someone. The Kyuubi growled in anger to Naruto from inside the cage. As soon as Naruto heard what the fox told him, he started to suppress his anger, making the killing intent disappear, and as soon as he did that he scanned the room to look for the ones that had managed to notice him generating killing intent. Almost immediately he spotted the orange-haired man that he met at the place where he fought with the demon staring directly at him from the second floor. Then not so far from said man was a group of 4 teenagers who also were staring at him. The group consisted of a tall and muscular blonde-haired boy with spiky hair, a brown-haired girl with white glasses, a green-haired boy that seemed to have some kind of antennas on his head, and finally a weird guy wearing some kind of armor. Then he also spotted 2 girls that were glaring at him from between the crowd that was fighting in the first floor, one with white hair, made up in a ponytail wearing some gothic clothing, and the other one with red hair wearing what looked like a chest plate. God damn it, it seems I'm going to have to do some explaining about my recent surge of anger. Seriously, my luck kind of sucks lately, Naruto thought as he watched the both girls that were glaring at him started to walk on his direction. Now that I have a better look at both of them, they are certainly cute, and not only that, the redhead kind of looks a little like my mother, but may God bless me if she has an attitude similar to the one my mother had when she was younger, Naruto thought, while an uneasy feeling was growing on his gut as he watched that both girls were getting closer, and the glares they were sending him just seemed to intensify. But then he was brought out of his musing when he felt a tug on his shirt. When Naruto turned to see who was asking for his attention, he found another white-haired girl, but this one had a short haircut and was wearing a pink dress, and she also looked a lot younger than the other one, and this one was sporting a giant smile on her face as she looked at him instead of terrible glare the other white-haired girl was sending him. It's so good to see you up and healthy, sir. I was very worried about you the other day. I mean, you were so injured that I feared the worst, so it's great to see you are well now. By the way, my name is Lisanna. What's yours? Lisanna said in a friendly tone of voice, the smile never leaving her face as she extended her hand to Naruto. The moment that Naruto laid his eyes on the girl and he heard her words, he couldn't help to feel a little warm feeling on his pained heart, and he knew that this girl was one of those rare kind of persons that just really care about those in need, so he couldn't help to smile at the little girl that looked to be about 12 or 13 years old. The name is Naruto Uzumaki, and it's a pleasure to finally meet one of my savior's little one, because if I'm standing here right now it's thanks to you all. Only God knows what would have happened to me if that tall orange-haired old man wouldn't have showed up, Naruto said with a warm tone of voice and a smile on his face as he ruffled the little girl's hair with one of his hands. He didn't know why, but this just felt right, since this girl kind of brought back some memories of his old friend Konohamaru and his gang. Lisanna wasn't expecting that this new boy acted in such a familiar way with her, but when she saw his smile and the nostalgic look in his eyes, she knew that this boy couldn't be a bad person. But she also managed to notice the sad and empty feeling that his eyes were expressing, since she had seen similar looks on her sister and brother, and in some other member of the guild, and that was the look of someone who had lost someone precious. Naruto, don't think about what could have happened. What matters now is that you are here now, and also don't call me little one. I'm not that little, it is just that you are quite tall, Lisanna said with an adorable pout on her face. And she was right, since now Naruto stood at a height of 6.2 feet, since he had grown a lot during the war. No, those are just excuses, especially when that cute little pout of yours makes you look younger, Naruto said with a mocking tone of voice as he stood up at his full height and looked down at Lisanna. You mean I helped to heal your wounds, and now here you are making fun of me, Lisanna said with a pout even bigger than before. Oh, so you helped to treat my wounds? In that case, Lisa-chan, I really owe you a big one. If you ever need help, don't forget to ask me for a hand, Naruto said with a friendly tone as he smiled at the little girl. You certainly owe her a big one, stranger, but not only to her but to all of us. You know it wasn't easy to treat that battered body of yours, so we expect you to keep that promise. Unless of course you are a liar who can't keep his word, the older white-haired girl from before said as she now stood right in front of Naruto with the same glare from before on her face. Mirani, don't be nasty with him, he just got over his injuries, and besides we all helped him without expecting some kind of payment, Lisanna said with an ashamed tone of voice as she tried to push Mira away from Naruto, but she didn't move, and to make things even worse, Erza came to stand also right before the blonde, and she sent him one of her deadly glares that were famous around the guild, but to her surprise the blonde didn't even seem to care or notice it. Okay, what is this? Why are you two looking at me like that when I was just being friendly with Lisa-chan? Naruto asked with an annoyed tone of voice as he stared at the both girls that were glaring daggers at him. Come on, don't try to play dumb with us, you know quite well why we are here, and let me warn you of something. If everything that has happened in the last 3 days was some kind of sick act of yours to get into the guild to bring us harm, then you will face my wrath, and I don't guarantee that will end well, the girl known as Erza said in a low yet menacing tone of voice that left no doubt that she wasn't lying as she out one hand over the hilt of the word she had attached at her waist. As Naruto heard the girl words, he stopped acting like his younger self, and the warrior that was hardened by 2 years of war took place. My, this girl is really kind of scary. But there's nothing to worry about. If I really wanted to harm her, I could have killed her 2 times already without even letting her draw her sword out. Naruto tough as he chuckled internally at how foolish this girl was. She was menacing him. The Konoha's dead. The Reaper, the man who stopped alone a unit off 150 ninjas. She would be dead before she could even assume a battle stance. As soon as he thought this, he stopped, and just now he realized how affected he was by the war. What the hell is wrong with you, Naruto? You are not like this. You can't be thinking on all the different ways in which you could kill a girl who is only trying to protect her family. You are not a monster like that sick bastard. Naruto scolded himself on his thoughts. Then he turned to look at the redhead with determination in his eyes. Okay, I am pretty sorry about what happened just a moment ago. You could say that was a little moment of weakness, so my magic started to go a little out of control, but I assure you, little miss, that I mean no harm to this place or the people in here, Naruto said with a serious tone as he stared directly at the red-headed girl's eyes. A moment of weakness? Erza asked with a perplexed look on her face, which was replaced by an angry glare again. You better explain, what do you mean by a moment of weakness? And I am not a little miss. My name is Erza Scarlet Stranger, and you better remember it if you don't want to have problems with me, Erza said with a very angry and menacing tone of voice. Makao could only stare like an idiot at what was happening before his eyes. First he saw Naruto marveling about the people in the guild, that he saw him scowling as if something was disturbing him, and after a little moment he started to emit a kind of a rotten yet dangerous feeling which unnerved him. But when he saw him talking to Lisanna on a very friendly way, his nerves calmed down. But just when he thought everything was alright, Erza and Mira appeared and started to threat the blonde about something bad that he apparently did. It was quite confusing. He could just pray that things wouldn't escalate into a fight, and by now nearly the whole guild had stopped fighting and was hoping the same thing as they stared at the blonde boy and both girls, especially now that they knew the cause of the boy's injured body, since according to what Gildarts said to them, this boy was capable of stopping one of the 10 most powerful creations of Zeref all by himself. Naruto could only chuckle at this girl behavior. She surely was a hard-headed one, and he knew that probably the only way to convince her that he didn't meant any harm to them was to tell her the truth right on her face. So he walked forward and started to talk in a low tone so that only her could hear him. The name is Naruto Uzumaki, and what I meant by a moment of weakness was that just a moment ago I let some pretty horrible memories to resurface, cause you see I am a trained soldier who had been fighting in a war for the last 2 years. I guess that is enough for you to picture out what kind of memories I had just a moment ago, and since my magic tends to be affected by my emotions, that happened, and I am truly sorry if it startled you, but it's something I can't control and happens from time to time. And I bet you can understand it, Erza, since you also sport eyes that show you had a very rough past just like me, Naruto said in a cold yet serious tone of voice, whispering out the last part as he then walked past Erza and turned to speak with Makao. So he was a soldier, and he fought in a war, so that mean he have blood of who knows how many on his hand. That makes him even a bigger threat to the guild if he ends up joining. I will have to keep a close watch on him, but apart from that he surely knows how to read other people. He is the first one that have managed to know just with a look at my eyes that I had a pretty thought pass too, Erza thought to herself as she turned to talk to Mira. So what did he told you, Tomato Head? Mira asked as she scowled at Erza. It's not important really, you idiot. Let's just say that for now he is not a threat to our family, but if he ends up joining the guild then we will have to keep a close watch on him, Erza said with a serious tone of voice. Oh excellent, I wouldn't mind stalking such a hot guy. I mean, have you looked at those muscles he have? Mira said with a nasty tone as a red tint appeared on her cheeks. Mira, that's inappropriate for a girl. Don't talk like that, it makes you sound like a pervert, Erza said with a scowl on her face. Oh come on Erza, you can't tell me you hadn't noticed how hot that boned guy is, unless of course you like girls, right? Mira asked with an evil tone of voice as she started laughing at Erza. What did you say, you gothic bitch? I don't like girls, and I'm going to teach you a lesson for telling lies like that, Erza said with a pissed off tone in her voice as she unsheathed her sword. Then bring it on, you bitch, I will be the one teaching you a lesson, you LL never forget, Mira said with a menacing tone of voice as her hands transformed into claws and she charged at Erza. Man, aren't they a lively pair, Makao? Naruto asked as he stood right beside said man who was now near the bar. You have no idea, Naruto, but seriously sorry about their attitude. I mean, they acted pretty mean with you, Makao said with a friendly tone as he looked at the blonde boy. Don't worry about it, I am accustomed to deal with rowdy violent girls, but more importantly, where can I find your guild master to talk with him? Naruto asked with a carefree tone of voice as he sat himself at one of the bar stools. Well, young man, you won't have to go far since I have been here since you arrived. By the way, it's good to see you are healthy again, my boy. An extremely short, elderly man with black eyes, a thick white mustache and a growing bald head said from the stool that was right beside Naruto as he took a sip from his glass of ale. As soon as Naruto laid his eyes on the old man he knew he was extremely powerful, and yet this man had a bright and kind aura around himself. It kind of brought him some memories of the old Hokage Sarutobi. I see, so you are the guild master. I won't lie to you, I was kind of expecting to see a more badass looking guy, but you certainly hold a strong aura around yourself, Gramps. By the way, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I am here to thank you for treating my wounds, Naruto said with a friendly tone of voice as he shook hands with Makarov. Makarov cried anime tears as he heard what Naruto said. First, why the hell everyone says something like that when they meet me for the first time, Makarov thought to himself as he heard the last thing that Naruto said. You don't have to thank us, my boy, we were just doing what was right to do. You needed help, we helped you, but if you really want to keep that little promise you made to Lisanna, I won't stop you, Makarov said with a smile on his face as he took another sip from his drink. Well, since I don't really have anything else with me to repay you, Gramps, I think I am going to hold up to that promise I made to her, but it doesn't apply just to her. If anyone from your guild ever needs anything, just give me a call and I'll come running to see what I can do, Naruto said with a sad smile on his face, first because making another promise to someone was kind of making him remember that he failed to accomplish all the promises he made in his world when his final encounter with Madara ended like that, and second, because he was finally accepting that he didn't have anything in this new world, and thinking about that kind of gave him a morbid feeling. Makarov knew that everything that Gildarts told him about this boy was real in the moment that he looked at his eyes, which were filled with a mixture of sadness, remorse, loneliness and emptiness, and he couldn't get himself to imagine what kind of things could make a boy of that age to have those eyes, because those were the eyes of someone who was lost and wide out a proposed to follow in his life. In short terms, those eyes only indicated that this boy literally didn't have anything left other than his life. But he also knew that right now he couldn't do anything for the kids since they were just two strangers meeting for the first time. Right now the only thing he could do was offer him a place on the big family that was Fairy Tail. My boy, if you feel the need to fulfill that promise, don't you think it would be easier to do so if you were part of the guild? You are more than welcome to join if you want to, Makarov offered to him with a friendly smile on his face. I am sorry, Gramps, but I will have to say thanks but no thanks. But don't get me wrong, I do appreciate your offer. This place seems to be quite interesting. But right now I really have a lot of things on my mind, and even more things that I want to forget before even thinking of what to do next with my life. To tell you the truth, I just came here today because I wanted to recover my gear and to say thanks to the one who helped me, Naruto said with a sincere and calm tone of voice. That made Makarov understand that no matter what he did right now, that was his final decision. Well, that's a shame, my boy, but I respect your decision. But will you hear an advice from an old man that has more experience in life than yourself? Makarov asked with a calm and wise tone of voice as he looked at Naruto. Go ahead, Gramps, even if it surprises you, I always hear the advices of the people around me, Naruto said with a friendly smile on his face. Okay, Naruto boy, my advice for you that you should never forget that no matter what is the burden you are carrying on your shoulders, everybody deserves a second chance to start anew, even if it scares us to do so. We have the chance to take that decision. When Naruto heard those words, he was surprised because this old man understood a lot of his situation with just giving him a look, and not only that, with his words he had showed him that he really cared for his well-being. This old man was really a lot like the third Hokage. Thanks, old man, I really appreciate those words and I assure you that I will think about it, but as I said before, I need some time to think and to forget, Naruto said with a silent yet serious tone of voice that told Makarov that this boy really appreciated his advice. But do I really deserve a chance to start anew after all the things that have happened because of me? Naruto thought to himself with a far-off look on his face. Well then, my boy, then I am afraid that the only thing we still have to do before you can go is to go and get your equipment from my office. And I also wanted to discuss some things about the fight you had with that demon, but let's do that in private, so follow me, Makarov said with a calm tone of voice as he got up from the stool he was sitting at and started to walk towards the stairs that went up to the second floor. Naruto only nodded and followed him. Gildarts had been watching them from afar since Naruto started to talk with the guild master, and when he saw the face that Makarov had when he and the boy entered his office, he knew that the blonde kid had probably turned down his invitation to the guild, and he could only sigh when he saw that. Goddamn kid, what have you gone through to be like that, and more importantly, will you ever be able to get over it so that you can continue with your life? Gildarts thought as he stared at the ceiling of the guild, wondering if he should try to do something to convince Naruto to join the guild. What if Naruto merged with Madara in Fairy Tail? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.